Greetings. We're going to wait for some people to come in. So I can go ahead and shoot a live in the spur of the moment. So we're going to go ahead and wait for some people to come in, and then we're going to go ahead and get into it. As I said, I'll just be randomly popping up doing lives now. So greetings, Yvette. Awesome. Give everybody just a couple minutes to form in. And we're going to get this thing going for a little something. And we'll kick it in, all right? So I'm just going to give it a minute or two. Greeting Dopes 13ES. Greetings, Regina. Everything is well. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it. Just little allergies. Haven't had allergies. Been doing some stuff to keep that away. I don't think I've had any type of allergy symptoms. Just a little congestion when the seasons and stuff change. I haven't had nothing. It's been a good minute, 6-7 months. So I was cleaning out a warehouse and kicking up all that dust and dirt. That shit kind of messed me up a little bit, but I'm good. Everything is good. Thanks for asking. All right. Just hold on one sec if I get this thing, everything. All right. Hold on. All right. All right. Peace Blade of Astaroth, Mythos, and Oversoul. Infernal blessings to you too. I like that. Infernal blessings. I like that. Infernal blessings to you. I might start using that. All right. All right. Just gonna wait. All right. We'll give it a minute. Let me just pull something up here. I wanted to go through. Yeah, I'm glad you got your Chaos Oil, Mama Muerte. Yeah, some good shit. And again, with the Chaos Oil, you can use it. It's really just a smell good fragrance to wear, but some people have been using it for candle magic, ritual magic. I mean, feel free. You could charge it and use it with whatever energy you want. I didn't really make it for a specific thing. Just kind of, it's got a good. The fragrance of it puts you in a certain mindset. It creates a certain spiritual vibe. That was the purpose of creating it. It smells good, but yeah, feel free to use it for whatever you see fit. Because people have been emailing me, they've been charging their candles with it. They've been using it in ritual work. Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, use it for whatever you want. There ain't no particular way to use it. All right. Let me just pull up this email real quick to go through some of these announcements. All right. Let's start. Okay, here we go. All right. We'll go through that in a sec. Again, not a scheduled live, as I said, just keep in mind. Very important now, based on a lot of the stuff I got going on and that I'm doing, that you definitely subscribe to the channel. But not only subscribe to the channel, but hit the notification bell so you get a note. Make sure you click that so you get a notification when I go live. The next live is already posted on the Patreon. Just go into the post section. The next one's February 12th. That's going to be a demonic integration session. I also posted on the Patreon, which will be a private link. That's just for tier 3 members who are $25 a month members. It'll be a private basic invocation ritual with a question and answer session after that. So yes, make sure you check if you're a Patreon member, make sure you check that page regularly by the post. It's right there. Just check the post. So yes, the next live, private live stream for members, which that's tier 2 and 3, $13 and $25 a month members. You'll be able to access that private live stream. All right. Real quick, just to go through this, what I am going to be doing, something a little different for this session of online classes, which will begin this upcoming Saturday, the 25th. All right. As I mentioned, I think it was last video or the video before, some people have asked me, can they take some of the classes because they can't be there for all of them? I've offered two methodologies for that, a recording, and some prefer to rather be there live, and they might be only be able to be there for 2 or 3 of the 6 sessions. So I'm doing something a little different this session. I'm letting people, if you decide you just want to take or only can take based on your work schedule or your schedule in general, yes, I'm going to start letting people take individual sessions if that's what they want to do. That's fine with me. It's not really a big issue with me. But let me just throw, these are the upcoming classes that are going to begin on the 25th. So if you're watching this and maybe you can only take a couple of them based on your schedule, just so you know, the schedule with the classes that begin this Saturday, they're from 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to about 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is done on live video conferencing format where you have access to myself and everybody else that's able to physically attend the class. The classes involve different work that you'll do for that particular class. And these will be the next session of classes that begin this Saturday. And if you can take the entire session and you want to just take 1 or 2 based on, it could be finances, it could be your work schedule, or your schedule in general don't allow it. So this is the first week we're going to be doing, which is this Saturday, is using alchemy to do your personal shadow work. That'll be the first class. The following week will be Luciferian magic. That's the second class in week 2. Week 3 will be Sith sorcery. We're going to go in depth into Sith sorcery. There will be a break after week 3. Then we follow back up in week 4, the importance of diet, health, exercise, and proper meditation techniques. That's going to be in week 4. All right. Week 5 will be chakra work and activating the Kundalini serpent energy. We're going to be utilizing and how to work with the chakras via the draconian path, the serpent, and the Kundalini energy. Not no fluffy, because I've gotten a few emails about that. So it's from a black magic left-hand path perspective that we'll be talking from or teaching on. All right, that's going to be week 5. And then week 6, we're going to tie it all in together with working with the Typhonian current of the adversary of Set. All right, those are the 6 classes in that session. If you want to take all of them, send me an email. If you can only take a couple of them based on your schedule or finances, just to throw it out there to save the time, each individual class is $55. If you just do an individual class, if you do the whole thing, it's a bit cheaper. I can email you the information. So if you're interested in taking any of those classes, again, week 1, using alchemy to do personal shadow work. Week 2, Luciferian magic. Week 3 will be Sith sorcery. Break after week 3. Week 4 will be the importance of diet, health, exercise, and proper meditation techniques. And I think this is a lot more important than we're putting importance on. Okay. All right. And week 5 will be chakra work and activating the Kundalini energy. And week 6, working with the Typhonian current of the adversary of Set. Again, each individual class is $55 just to save the back and forth email. And they run from 3 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. If by chance you can't physically attend, you can get a recording of the class. So just let me know. I work with people. I understand based on schedules, lifestyle, raising a family. I get it. Just got to communicate to me what you got going on. So those are the next upcoming classes that will begin this Saturday. Those are open to all. Also, it's growing pretty consistently for a short period of time. The Patreon is up and running. For those Patreon members, if you're a tier 2 and tier 3 member, we will have a February 12th, Wednesday night. I believe it's 8 o'clock or 8:30 p.m. It's on the Patreon page. We will be doing our next private live stream. That'll be demonic integration. We will show in-depth rituals and techniques, how to work with your personal daemon. Excuse me. Little allergies I got going on right now. That's only for Patreon members on the Patreon page. The link is there if you're a member. All you got to do the night of the class, go right onto the Patreon page, click the link. It brings you right into the class. It's that simple. It's not complicated. That will be for Patreon members only, February 12th. Please take note of this. Play it back. There's a lot of shit going on. This is why you don't see me on here as much doing lives. I'm just going to be popping on here when I can, and I can pop on here now. So that's why I'm on here now. I'll be doing some classes here. Not as much as I used to, though. Obviously, I used to be on 2 times a week. I won't be doing that because I just don't have the time for it anymore. So that's for Patreon members. Also, we are 14 days, 2 weeks away from our next upcoming ritual here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That will be on Friday night, January 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are doing the necromancy rite of Ampu. You must request an invite if you are physically attending. Shoot me an email at the email in the description box, khnum19@gmail.com, and I will communicate with you for that via there. And that's going to be on the 31st of January. Also, I just posted a post flyer on the Instagram, Facebook, and the YouTube community section. We will also be doing a black magic drumming here in Fort Lauderdale on the beach in Pompano Beach, Florida, which is North Fort Lauderdale. That will take place on Saturday, February 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's going to be the drumming of the invocation of the dragon energy of Lucifer. All right. That will take place on the beach, February 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I put a post up about that. So we got that going on in February. Also to put out there, like we did last year, start promoting it because before you know it, year flies by, October will be here. Journey of the Black Adept Conference this year will be October 30th, and it'll run to November 1st. It's going to be great. We got a lot of shit planned this year. Falls on Halloween weekend. Couldn't ask for a better weekend for it. So mark those days down on your calendar. Would like to put it out there extremely early so you can make preparations to buy plane tickets early, your hotel money for the conference. This way you're all set. It worked out well. Last year, we pumped it almost 10, 11 months in advance like I'm doing it this year, and it gave people plenty of time to prepare. All right, so that's going to be October 30th to November 1st. Now, what I will do, and I'm going to do it this year because I didn't have a Patreon channel last year. If you are a member, a tier 3 member on the Patreon channel, you will be able to see the lectures and the presentations at the conference. All right, I am going to provide a live link come October where when the presentation, that's what you'll have access to. You'll be able to see the live presentations at the conference. That's the only thing I'm going to post live. Ritual work and none of other that stuff. I don't do that. But that'll be something exclusive for Patreon members. So if you're a Patreon member and say you can't get to the conference in October, at least you'll be able to see some of the live presentations. So I'm really going to start using that Patreon platform for other venues, other areas, and to branch out. So I'm excited about it. I enjoyed doing the first private class on there last week. I'm looking forward to the next one on February 12th. And again, the Patreon, it's patreon.com. The Primordial Chaos Patreon page it's patreon.com, patreon.com/Beniti, BANITI. That'll take you right to the page if you are interested in signing up. And last but not least, if you are interested in a spiritual consultation, a spiritual reading, or a yearly forecast reading, shoot me an email at khnum19@gmail.com. The email's in the description box of all the videos, and specify which one you are interested in. And please specify the days and times you're available. And most importantly, the time zone you live in, because I get emails from out of the country, West Coast, Mountain Time Zone, Central Time Zone. It's very important you give me that information when we're making arrangements to set up a reading or a consultation, because I'm in Eastern Standard Time. I'm on the East Coast in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I need to coordinate that time with your time if you're in a different time zone. All right. So I'm trying to be as crystal clear as I can about this. And then the chaos oil. If you're interested in ordering the chaos oil, real simple. All you got to do is send your payment to PayPal. Use the email in the description box of the video, khnum19@gmail.com. It's $20 per bottle. That includes the shipping and handling. Just send it to PayPal using that email. And in the PayPal, please include your email address, your name, and your physical mailing address. All right. It usually takes about 7 days. I make them in batches. I don't, just so everybody knows why it takes 7 to 10 days to get the oil. I don't just, as it's ordered, I have a system. As I make batches, I have a set day of the week that I mail them out. So it's more convenient like that, because if I just mailed them as they came in, I'd be running back and forth to the post office like 6, 7, 8, 9 times a week, and I'm not going to do that. Usually Saturday mornings is when I go ship out chaos oil. I just want to put that out there. I have a set schedule. So if you order on a Monday, your order will get your oil, and your order will go out that Saturday. Please keep that in mind. I'm just putting that out there. Not that there's been any issues with that, but I have a cycle that I do in it. I make my batch in the middle of the week, and I mail and ship everything on Saturday morning. All right. I stated that schedule. So if you order after Saturday, just know you'll get it the following Saturday. It goes out the following Saturday. And usually if you're within the states, you get it 3 to 4 days, 5 days. It just all depends. But the whole process from ordering it, getting it made, shipping out, it's usually about 7 days, 7 to 10 roughly. It just depends on where you live. All right. That's all I got for announcements. Just want to run through that. All right. You see the title. I'm just going to go through some things, and I'll go through the chat. I'll keep my eye on it. Days Rob. Days Rob, no, that's the only oil I have at the moment. I'm started with this one. It's going a little more expected, and it's actually, I don't want to take on two more than I can chew. I didn't actually, not that I wasn't thinking, on a positive level. I didn't think it would take off that quick. So I just don't want to. Right now, I'm just kind of dealing with that. I might branch out into others. I just don't want to take off more than I can chew because all the shit I got going on. But long story short, for now, no, that basically is the only oil that I'm making right now. Okay? Just bear with me, people. I have little allergies going on. Don't mean to be rude, but got to blow the nose. All right, so you see the title. Apophis, the Leviathan energy, and removing removing mindsets of religious indoctrination. That's the purpose of the Apophis, or the Leviathan energy. All right. Now, I was going through Leviathan and raising oneself up to becoming a red magus, as they say in some spiritual circles. Now, working with the Leviathan energy involves a serious level of doing personal shadow work, as we like to call it on this path. All right. And as I said many times before, shadow work isn't always pleasant. Okay. It's not always a fun thing to do, because sometimes you get smacked upside your head with serious reality. And sometimes it can be emotional, it can be painful. It can cause downright issues in your current life with friends, family, loved ones, because the intensity and the level of changes you go through brings on an influx of emotions that everybody's going to handle a different way based on what they got going on in their life. So we need to know that. Why this is important to go, there's that old saying, being tried and tested and going through the fire. Well, you will go through the fire on this path. You must go through the fire on this path in order for you to get to where you got to go. The problem that still goes on, there's still a religious indoctrinated mind state that people are still carrying over into this path. And it must be addressed, and most importantly, it must be eliminated. Because my personal goal, and I want to make this clear, and this is with all due respect, and I'm not talking to people that have been vibing with me over the years on a positive level. I'm just speaking in general now to those I really couldn't care. Again, if you like what I do, love or hate what I do, it's irrelevant. I can tell you what the goal for this channel, the Patreon channel, and what I'm getting ready to do in 2020 is separate myself from all those constructive paradigms. Okay, I'm not going to be messing with any of that traditional religious stuff anymore. because I'm seeing it as a hindrance, holding people back from evolving on this path. Now, the Apophis Leviathan energy brings an awareness. What I've learned in my personal shadow work, in doing inner alchemy and working this magical system, I still realized there's certain things you're going to see when you do this type of work that you're holding on to, whether you're conscious of it or not, that really there's no need for. And there's the old adage, we hear the old saying, less is more, right? We hear this term. What does it mean when we say less is more? Well, that's when you don't have all that excess bullshit. It's more in the sense you have less distractions, less bullshit to worry about, and it's easier to focus. I've always been along the lines of dealing with that concept. Less is more. The problem, what we do on this path sometimes, we want to bring all of this shit on this path, really that has nothing to do with it. And I want to make this clear. I still get emails, believe it or not. And I've done videos on this within the last year, going a couple years back. I want to make this clear to anybody watching. I'm not actively practicing or participating anymore in any traditional systems such as Santeria, Ifa, Palomaembe, Palomante, 21 divisions. Yes, I was into that for several years, going back to the late 90s, early 2000s. Yes, I was initiated in most of those systems. I am not active in them no more. The reason why I talked about them, as you see scattered about over the years, was not so much because I was trying to spark and motivate people to get initiated in them, because I still get emails. Oh, what do you think about this? Oh, I'm into Palo and this and that. Should I get initiated? That wasn't my intent for putting them videos out. The intent for putting those videos out was for you to look at this from a very neutral perspective, meaning eliminate from yourself the traditional mindset. I was trying to use my personal experience, because I've said many times in those videos, if you go back, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have wasted my time doing that. Now, it's no disrespect. I'm saying that to say, I found as I branched out and left those things alone, I've grown 100% more than I did when I was actively involved in them, because those too are systems of indoctrination. Those too are a form of servitude and following. So I'm trying to shift completely away from that now. Now, I'm saying that to say, I know I'll still get emails. People even ask me, do you know a good Palero? Do you know, can you direct me to this? Yeah, I can, but I don't want to, because I'm not active in that. For an example, if I referred you to my Padrino or the Palero I work with, and I don't really know you, you understand? That doesn't go too good for me. You understand what I'm saying? Because even though I'm not active in them circles no more, you still try to keep that level, of respect. Just like I wouldn't expect nobody to send anybody my way that's got some serious fuckery going on. So not to stay on that too long. So no, I'm not active in them circles no more. I'm not going to refer you to any Palero, voodoo priest or priestess, because I'm not active in them circles no more. It doesn't work like that. You can't just pop up and say, oh, this is such and such. And people kill me. It's not like, oh, I want to be initiated. Can you take me under your wing? It doesn't work like that. I keep telling people that's not how it works. So long story short, without staying on that too long, if that is your interest, I just want to make this clear. That's personal. Don't email me and ask me, do you think I should do it? Should I not? I'm not going to give you an answer to that. That's personal. You decide if that's for you or if it's not. Okay? If you feel like you need that for the experience, knock yourself out. And my suggestion, I don't know, I know wherever you live, whatever state you're in, find somebody that can direct you to a trustworthy person. Now, I know there are some states across the country where it's hard to find good people in areas of those work. I don't know what to tell you. What I will tell you is stay off the internet and don't get hustled by these scam artists, okay? I've made that clear a bunch of times. Nobody can make you a naga pot on the internet. Nobody can make you an Ogun pot and charge you thousands of dollars and telling you it's got some power to it. That's a bunch of bullshit. If you're going to go through that traditional system, you really need to be hands-on with somebody that's in that system so they can show to you the right way. You could be taught the right way. Anybody that's doing the shit on the internet, it's a scam. Trust me when I tell you. Any real Palero voodoo priest is not going to be publicly on the internet offering their services like that. Trust me when I tell you, with this whole internet social media thing, you got a lot of people that come on here and use this to scam people and rip people off. So I don't suggest you send your money to somebody who says they're going to make you a naga pot for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. You'd be a fool if you did that. All right. So anyway, I don't want to stay on that too long. So I just want to make it clear I'm not dealing with that. What am I dealing with? Shit that we're going to get ready to talk about now. We're dealing with the darker aspect of the occult, and not everything out there is occult. I've been saying that a lot lately. There's different levels of the occult. There's watered down versions of the occult. There's the Egyptian Orishi slash voodoo aspect of the occult. That's a part of it, but that's not what I'm dealing with. I'm making that clear. And yeah, it's not going to be easy not to get sidetracked with that, but you're going to have to try. Because if you really want to see where this path can take you, you must leave all them constructs behind. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that's a reality is you. And how much power do you really have? Well, this path will make you figure that out, for better or worse, unfortunately. All right? So we'll be dealing strictly with the occult, different aspects of what one titles left-hand path, dark magic, sorcery, Luciferianism, witchcraft, those areas. That's a different level of the occult. There's degrees to this shit. And again, with all due respect, I know some people will send me emails, about Bobby Hemmett. And again, respect to the elder. Bobby Hemmett is not black magic or left-hand path. Is Bobby Hemmett occult? Yes, to a certain degree. But don't confuse that with left-hand path, dark magic. Did he talk about some of this stuff? Yes. But I just don't compare this to a lot of the other things out there. That's all that I'm saying. All right. There's different levels and degrees to this. And again, is everybody going to be in accordance with it? Absolutely not. Do I really give two shits? Absolutely not. Okay. That's the direction this channel is going in. If that's not your flavor, tune out. It's that simple. I ain't going to sit here, waste my time with energy with people who think they're know-it-alls. And I've been doing this shit for over 20 plus years. Trust me. If I wanted to take the time and energy to get into all that debate shit, and everybody that knows me, I did that shit for years ago. Now I'm too old for that shit. I ain't got time for it. Okay? Now I won't even waste my energy unless you get completely stupid. Then you might have to get put in your place, or we just X you out. That's it. There's no time for this no more. We see what's going on out here. Okay? We see what's going on in the world. We see the direction that's taking place in society, politics, religion. All this stuff is going on simultaneously because now everybody all of a sudden wants to talk about some great shift in 2020, which I find very funny. And as I said last video, my shift is happening continuously. I'm activating my shift all the time. I'm not waiting for no specific event because that's all spookism and bullshit. Because again, here we are distracted with some concept that keeps us looking outside of ourselves for something to happen. Okay, how many times have we heard this since 2012? We can go back before that. How many times have we heard this over the last couple hundred years? Some great spiritual awakening / cataclysmic event / conscious spiritual mental shift. See, if anybody's really working this path, you would understand that is something that is continuously going on within the adept based on the work that they're doing. So I'm not waiting for any great shift in 2020. The shift has already begun and is continuous once you make the attempt to come on this path and do the work. And the shift starts with shadow work. And via the Apophis, Leviathan, serpent energy, that is one method, and that's the one I'm singling out today. I talked about working with the 7 heads of Leviathan. Each head represents a certain aspect that one must work with within themselves. And within all those heads, I'm not going to go through all the heads again. Go watch the video I did on it. The 7 heads, just for the sake of time. Go back and look at the video. I'm not going to go through all of them again right now. Each head, in a nutshell, to sum it up, focuses on certain areas in your life that you need to work on. It focuses on different challenges, obstacles, situations you must fix about yourself, how to challenge yourself to bring out the best in yourself, how to draw out those weaknesses that could be plaguing you consciously and unconsciously. And then most importantly, it's one thing to bring them out and know them and become aware of them, but the most important thing, what work are you doing to fix those things? Okay? This is the most important thing. Okay? We must deal with that, the self first, before we can proceed on with anything. Okay? All right, so we got okay, Loopy Dark, you must be new. Okay, so I'm gonna say this one time. It's not Church of Satan. I couldn't give two shits about the Church of Satan. And it's not gotcha. Oh, I gotcha. Don't make your own conclusions. All right, so I'm gonna say it once. Any stupid shit will just X you out the room. All right, it has nothing. You didn't hear me say one thing about Church of Satan. Not Temple of Satan. None of those things. Okay. So if you want to draw your own conclusions, and this is not just to you, anybody else, as I said a minute ago, if this is not your thing, simply tune out, exit the channel. Okay. So that's how that works. That not one thing came out of my mouth about Temple of Satan or Church of Satan. This is what I'm talking about. And people draw their own conclusions. Okay. You can't play this video back and hear me make reference to that one time. Okay. So let's not be ignorant. Let's not be foolish, and let's not pretend like we know it all. Okay. And if you've asked questions and no one's been able to answer, then you're just super special. You just know everything, and you're so heavy and you're so deep. That's why. That's why you've asked questions and nobody's been able to answer, because you are special. You are special than more than anybody else on the planet. That's the shit that I'm talking about. Okay. Anyway, not to get sidetracked. We'll let you stay for a little bit. But if you get stupid, we're just going to X you out. That's how we do that. All right. If you're going to ask a question, you haven't asked the question. You've made stupid ass statements. Ask an intelligent question, and maybe you'll get an intelligent answer. Okay. You haven't asked one question. You made stupid ass comments and assumptions. What's the first three letters in the word assumption? Ass. ASS. And you pretty much have made an ass of yourself by a couple of statements. Nobody said nothing about no Temple of Satan, Church of Satan. For somebody that asks questions that nobody can answer, you make stupid ass statements that you shouldn't be making. Okay. Okay, so here's a first intelligent question. Yes, Baphomet is in many circles. That's why I said there's different levels of the occult. You have light-siders that use Baphomet and don't really know what it works with. Church of Satan and Baphomet is not exclusive only to the Church of Satan. On this path, Baphomet is just a symbol. It's a representation. It's not a deity. Even in the Church of Satan, if you even go onto their website, people have these false assumptions when they see the Baphomet symbol, for an example. All Baphomet represents to an occultist or a real working magician simply is it represents totality, equilibrium, harmony, masculine and feminine energy. You have the masculine face of the goat-faced man. You have the breasts of the female. That's the androgynous energy. As above, so below. As within, so without. You have the activation of the four elements, the kundalini energy, the pineal. All of this is symbolic to the magician. The path that I teach, Baphomet is not a physical deity that anybody worships. Anybody that's teaching you that is just as spooked out as a religious person. It's just a symbol. And it activates certain portions of the individual psyche. So when a magician is looking at the Baphomet symbol, all of those things, that's just a small amount of things, all of those things I mentioned just simply activate that awareness within your psyche. That's it. We got to stop using other people's definitions, because when you see the Baphomet symbol, the pentagram, shit, you can go into Wicca, right? The pentagram in Wicca means something different than it does in the occult, black magic, or per se the Church of Satan. That's why I said there's different levels to this. I'm not fucking with none of those things. Definitely ain't messing with no Wicca. Definitely ain't messing with no Church of Satan, Temple of Satan. And let me say this, no disrespect to any of those ideologies. If that's your thing, that's your thing. I'm making it clear what we're dealing with here. How I'm teaching people on this channel to work. I've done videos, go in the archives. There's a whole video on the Baphomet energy. Just go watch it. Not to take up too much time on it. All right. And part of the process, why the video is titled this, These are the things we need to be raised to in awareness, because having those levels of awareness is going to release and lift those paradigms that we're under, those religious constructs that we're under. Okay? When I was talking a few minutes ago, to get back to that, just so I don't get sidetracked, then I'll go back in the chat. All right? The 7 heads of Leviathan, again, go watch the video I did a few weeks back on that. I'm not going to go through the 7 heads again. The work that the individual must do on an intricate level opens one up to that awareness. Because first and foremost, most people will come on the path and say, where should I start? Where should I begin? Well, since we were just talking about some great shift a few minutes ago, the first great spiritual and mental shift that you will happen to receive will be when you get truly on the path to do that internal work. Okay? That is very important, because we need to figure out what is it about ourselves that we need to fix. And then 2, what is the main purpose of goal of being on a path like this? What's the purpose of practicing black magic, witchcraft, sorcery, et cetera, et cetera? All these different things that make up this path. And remember, this path is not defined by one particular spiritual system. That's another thing we got to get out of our head. When we say, I like to refer to it, and I don't even like to really use the term. As I've said many times before, I use it because people are familiar with it. I don't like to use so much the term left-hand path. I like to use the term path of self-mastery. Because in that spectrum of self-mastery, there is no limitations. You can incorporate whatever path you want as long as you see fit to make the adjustment where the work you're doing is suited to work with your needs. So this path is not limited to a particular system, concept, ideology, or symbol. That's important to understand more than anything moving forward. Because see, what people like to sometimes do is put things in a box and put a title on it so it makes them feel comfortable with their insecurities and fears. So they feel if they can identify something and categorize it, then they feel now comfortable, or they feel they're above it, or sometimes beyond it, depending on what your state of mind is. See, the problem is this path doesn't have any of those limitations. So if you needed a brief description, what is this path about? It's just that, a path of self-mastery. What does it involve? A multitude of spiritual systems or anything you feel that'll be conducive to work with to get you to that point of self-mastery, which is a continuous work in progress. All right? Now, number 2, the importance of going in and doing this work. Step 1, after we identify what is the goal, why should we get on this path? Why should we do these things? Why should we do the ritual work, the shadow work, alchemy, etc.? All these things we talk about. Your goal is this simple, okay? Your goal let's just do this. We just do that. Okay, that's what we do. We just loop people out the room. Your goal on this path simply is to become the best person you can be on all levels. Okay? That is spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. I talk about it all the time. The 5 P's of self-mastery. Okay? That's your goal. Let's not make this complex and deep. If you're coming on this path because you want some spooky experience, some divine revelation, you want to meet some robed figure that comes to you with the Om sound vibrating, oh, you are special and chosen, then go to one of those traditional systems. Because the communication you get from spirit can vary. It could be an awareness. It could be a message, an inner voice. It could be a chain of events that work in sequence convey a message. See, the problem is when we're looking for everything outside of ourselves, that's the mindset that we get in, okay? And that is what your goal is. That is the point of being on this path, okay? That's it. Let's not make this, if you're not on this path for any of those reasons, then you need to explain to me why you're on this path. Most of us are on this path, 1, because we realize we got some fucked up shit about ourselves we need to fix. That's step 1. And the person that says they don't have anything wrong with them and nothing to fix, that's their first mistake. That's where they fucked up. We all got something that we can work on about ourselves. And if you don't think so, then you got a serious issue right out the gate. You need to start doing work to come to the awareness. I'm sure all of us in these basic categories can look at, we might have temper issues, anger management issues, patience issues. Maybe we need to sharpen our skills on being better parents to our children. Maybe we need better work in dealing with our finances and our money, okay? Maybe we need to manage our time better. Maybe we need to be more consistent. I can go on now. Maybe we need to be more consistent in the work that we do. Maybe we need to apply ourselves just a little more intensely, okay? This is the things we have to look at. This is where you start with shadow work. I'm sure, and I can go on, that's just some of the things. I'm sure in some of the aforementioned I just mentioned, everybody listening right now cannot tell me there is not areas of improvement in any of those things that I just mentioned, okay? And let me make this clear, okay? If you don't think any of those areas I mentioned, you don't need to do any work, then that's your first fault. You're under an illusion. You think you're perfect, and then my next thing to you, then there's no need for you to be listening here. Go to find a YouTube channel for all perfect people. First of all, your ass wouldn't even be on YouTube if you were perfect, okay? What else we got here? Yeah, Strageria or Stregia, yeah, time witchcraft, and I have a good book on that. It's actually called A Time Witchcraft. I'll get into that in a minute. I see those little conversations about that. And look, I don't have problems with people mixing systems. See, the traditionalists will tell you don't do that. But you got to understand, this path is about, you can take, if you're taking from different systems, and the average traditionalist will tell you don't do that. You shouldn't do that. All I'm saying is if you're doing something that's working and producing results, power to you. If you're taking from different areas and you're coming up with something that works for you, power to you. Now, will it necessarily work for somebody else? It may or it may not. But the goal, step one, is to find what works for you. We got to stop getting into these conversations when we're trying to establish this is right, this is wrong. And then you had that fool that was in here earlier saying, pick up a book. See, that's the problem with people. Yes, you pick up books to learn. You don't pick up books where the books dictate to you as if they're the sole authority on how something needs to be done. See, that's the problem with people that are over-intellectualized shit. Because if an author writes a book on magic, let's take for an example, Peter Carroll, right? Peter Carroll, Psychonaut, is probably one of the most mainstream popular books on chaos magic, okay? Now, he's considered one of the top authorities when it comes to writing books because it's one of the most popular. We could even go to lighter systems such as Israel Regalim, right? In dealing with Order of the Golden Dawn, high magic, which is, in my opinion, it's not really occult or black magic. It's just that, high magic. My point being is this. At what point did they become the authority? It's exclusively. Because remember, when they first started writing books, when they came up with their ideas, they were faced with opposition. They were told some of the stuff they were talking about wasn't in accordance with the traditionalists that came before them. See, we as groups and masses, it starts to become authentic and the authority when we start stamping our validation of approval on it. I'm saying this, there is no set authority out there on anything but you. You are the set authority because you determine for yourself what's going to work for you or not. And I'm a collector of books, and I encourage everybody to study and read books. But I'll be damned if any book is going to tell me what I can and cannot do. I get ideas, inspiration, and I learn from books. But if I'm coming up with a methodology or a system that may not be in accordance with some book you read, I don't give two flying shits. You ain't got to agree with it. Only thing I need to know is that it works for me. I get results. That's all I care. So what it appears to be on the outside, what it appears to be someone who is not in agreement because it's not in line with their personal ideology or what they read and what they were taught, that's just too fucking bad. Because there's many things in other systems and other people that I don't agree with, but I'm not going to waste my time. Focus on what it is I don't agree with or doesn't work for me. I focus on what it is that works for me. What I am in agreement and incorporate it in my daily work. See, that's the difference with people who are on the path to work and people who are just fucked up want to hide behind screen names, no photo, don't want to identify themselves, but want to stand behind a keyboard like they know-it-alls. I ain't got time for that shit. And this is why another reason why I try to shift, because sometimes on here on YouTube, I got to be real with you. You get these people that just come on and they don't have nothing else to do. So the Patreon channel, as I mentioned back in January, is for the sole purpose of branching away from this nonsense. And I'm not saying it's all nonsense. And I'm not saying everybody that comes here, I will make that clear. There's a lot of great people that have been watching this channel for years, and I appreciate the support. I'm not talking to you people. I'm talking to the trolls that like to show up once in a while. The know-it-alls who hide behind some bullshit-ass screen name with no photo, don't identify themselves, are too much of punks and bitches. Like I said, I've invited people. I'll give you a number. If you want to call in, call in. We can have a dialogue. We can have a conversation. Identify yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're located. You motherfuckers know where I'm at. You know my name. You know where I'm located. Ain't nothing to hide here. You see me. But it's motherfuckers that want to hide behind a keyboard who can't be seen and heard and got a lot to say. That's some punk shit. Straight up punk shit. I don't deal with that. Okay? If you got something to say, and look, we don't even got to do it in an open format. Because to show you that I'm a mature individual, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but if you want to call in, you will get embarrassed if you're stupid. We can have a private conversation on the side. Shoot me an email. But you're going to identify yourself. You're going to tell me who the fuck you are, because I'm not going to be talking to somebody who's hiding behind a screen there, who's some fucking troll that likes to come in, because you got people that do this on all different platforms and channels. So I'm not going to waste my time with that. All right? So, working with the Apophis energy. Let's get back to that. All right? I'm going to go through a short section here. I wanted to go through this when I first came on. And again, let me just run this down before I get to the end. Some of the stuff I talked about in the beginning if you came late. All right? The online classes that begin this Saturday, the 25th. It's a 6-week session with a 1-week break. So it's 7 weeks. Sometimes it can run 8. I say 6 to 8 weeks because it just depends. Sometimes time constraints, we might have to extend something or something due to that nature for time. All right. What I am offering, something I'm doing different. The session runs from the 25th of January to March 7th. The classes are every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to make that clear. What I am offering, because people have emailed, some people can't be there for all the sessions. Some people are asking if they can take some of them, and I'm offering yes, there's no problem. Each class, if you take them individually, is $55 per class. If you're going to take them all, there's a set rate for the entire class. You can email me, and I'll give you that information. All right? So the first class we'll be doing this Saturday is using alchemy to do personal shadow work. The second class is Luciferian magic, how to work it, different rituals, concepts, and techniques. The third class is Sith sorcery. All right. In between class 3 and 4, there's a break. Then we convene. Week 4 will be this is an important class. And if there's one class you can take this one. The importance of diet, health, exercise, and proper meditation techniques, which sounds basic on the surface, but a lot of people are lacking in the foundational areas. We're going to go a little bit more in depth on that and the serious importance of that, because those are a lot of reasons why people are struggling on this path. All right. Week 5 will be chakra work and activating the Kundalini energy, the serpent energy, the dragon energy of Lucifer, how to work with your chakras in regards to that. I want to be clear on that. And then the final class, week 6, is working with the Typhonian current of the adversary of Set. All right. If you want to take any of those classes, all of them, or some of them, or one of them, or 2 of them, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. It's in the description box of the videos. And each class is $55. And again, they're about 3.5 hours. And there's work, exercises, and other stuff to go along with it. Okay. So shoot me an email for that. That begins this upcoming Saturday. And then the Patreon members, our next private live stream for Patreon members only will be February 12th at 8 to 8:30 p.m. It's on the Patreon page if you're a member. I just wanted to run that by again. And then for tier 3 members, we will be doing, which you'll get a private link, and I'll be looking to do that either at the end of February, first week in March. You'll be getting in-depth look at some ritual work and with a discussion afterwards. That's going to only be for Tier 3 members, and there will be a private link for that. It won't be on the page. You will get an email as a member on Tier 3. You'll get an email directly sent to you. Okay. All right. Let me go through this real quick, and then I'll finish with some questions that might be in the chat. All right. So let me come out here, and let me go into the book section here and pull this up. And the information that I took on this is coming from Michael Kelly's book, Apophis. All right. So there's a short section in here I want to read on deprogramming yourself from different constructs. That could be Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, whatever it may be. Now, I want to make this clear. Them systems serve a point to a certain degree, okay? But we got to be careful we're not transitioning that and masking it and covering it up and using it falsely on this path, because that's where you can get yourself a little jacked up and a little bit confused, okay? So let me read this section here. Any truly initiatory right-hand path programming worth its salt, in this case I am thinking of Buddhism in particular, will teach its initiates to similarly control their emotions and to switch off the program triggers that allow them to be manipulated by the media, advertisers, and politicians. They attain a kind of detachment, and that is where they are content to remain. The left-hand path initiate is not content with this, having worked to shatter the chains that have shackled our true selves. We must now choose to forge new and stronger chains which will reinforce and bolster ourselves. Chains of power of our own choosing. That's the difference. Those paths choose for you. And again, Michael Kelly's using Buddhism as the example here. Okay, most of those right-hand philosophy paths, they choose the path and the system for you, right? This path, it's the reverse. We choose, we create those stronger chains, and we choose what we're going to work with. Nobody else chooses it for us. No ideology, structure, or paradigm is supposed to do that for you. All right? A suitable example of this is Tolkien's Sauron, Forging the One Ring. This is familiar. This new act of decisive and conscious empowerment. Bondage is horrifying to right-hand path mentality. It is up to you to deliberately choose those people, project, places, and treasures that truly inspire you, and then formally bind them to your love, loyalty, enthusiasms, and ambitions. So it's a process, but you're doing the picking, the choosing, the grafting, the integrating. You're choosing this. Nobody's doing it for you or telling you it has to be done like this. It needs to be done like this. Oh, you have to do it. You can't do it like that. That's bullshit, okay? What else we got here? The part of the process, the conscious choosing of new chains is truly satanic and best sought in the writings of Anton Szandor LaVey, as it's important and has not been stressed by any of those who have come after him, even those who may have suppressed him in other ways. So he's just referring an example of LaVey when you go into the satanic rituals, the companion to the Satanic Bible or the Satanic Bible. Even though some of that stuff is a bit, in my opinion, needs to be updated a bit, but there are some good concepts in there, as I've talked many times before. For an example, the Book of Belial. To me, that section of the Satanic Bible is a good book. And you don't even need, I'm going to be honest with you, you don't necessarily have to be on this path to read that and couldn't get something out of it. Why? Because it gives you how to fuel your intent, focus, direction, preparation, all the key ingredients, and there's a section there called the Satanic Ingredients in Black Magic, which I think every magician should look at and interpret it for their own personal benefit of how that concept can work for them. And it can, if you go in there and you look at it in a way that's conducive to the path that you're on. All right? All right, what else we got? Some will no doubt argue that it appears to be a backward step to form new attachments after severing old ones. I wouldn't understand why. Because remember, part of this path and really tapping in to what this path represents is something we talk about a lot called the isolated consciousness, right? We talk about this all the time. The isolated consciousness is about separating from all of those systems of conformity. Excuse me. Okay? It's not an easy thing. Because depending on how old you are, if you're coming on this path in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or above, that's a lot of deprogramming to do. It's going to be a little more complicated than, let's say, maybe somebody who was born into this or came into this at a very young age. Not saying that they're not going to have issues or problems, because they are. Not saying that they're going to have to deal with internal issues of self, because they are. But they're not going to be dealing with it to the degree to say somebody that came on this path much later in their life. So we're talking about a lot of deprogramming that must be done. And this is why it's not going to be easy. Of course it's not going to be easy. What's the old adage? Anything easy, more than likely, isn't good for you. Okay? As far as putting in work is concerned, I'm talking about. So the isolated consciousness that you might hear sometimes talked about, the isolated consciousness of Set, is just that. That's one of the many aspects. That's one of the key foundational aspects, is when you come on this path, are you committed to releasing and separating from yourself all those systems of conformity? Be that Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Santeria, Kemeticism. Let me make this clear. It don't mean you can't study them, but you're going to be studying them now from a different perspective. You're going to be dissecting them and getting explanations on them and clarity on it that you haven't gotten in the past, because you were looking at it from a different perspective then, as opposed to how you're looking at it now. So this is where you would start. So for an example, if you come on this path, and this work is done in the first 3 heads that we talked about in working with Leviathan, right? Say you were born and raised a Christian your entire life, okay? Then this is where you should start. How impactful was Christianity on your mentality, your way of thinking? How did it affect your life, good or bad? And regardless if you're active or non-active in it now, what effect is it having on you now, consciously and subconsciously? Because I always get this. Somebody say, yeah, I was born and raised Christian, but I stopped dealing with that 10, 15 years ago. I say, oh, okay, And then my next question is, well, what have you been doing since you, quote unquote, stopped dealing with mainstream Christianity? Oh, well, then, after that, I got into, Ifa, or I got into Buddhism, or, I might have got into some militant Islam, or I might have got into some more science temple, or I might have got into whatever it may be. Okay. But have you ever gotten yourself to the point where you put all of those things behind you? When I say all of those things, it don't mean you can't use aspects from them, but have you stopped identifying with them? That's what I'm talking about. Because as I said before, you can learn stuff out of more science temple doctrine, but there's a cutoff line where it just doesn't cross over and transition into the occult. Okay? Because why? When you're tapped into the isolated consciousness and you're in the chamber and you're working magic, all of that shit doesn't even matter anymore. All of the books you read, all of the ideologies you've clinged on to, all of the things you've studied and you think you know and don't know, don't matter to you at that moment. That's tapping into the isolated consciousness and separating yourself from everything that has existed prior to you got here. Now, it's one thing explaining it in words. It's an entirely different thing experiencing it. The only way you're going to get at the experiencing it and understanding it is by doing that work to gain that feeling, that experience, that emotion, that effect of it. Okay? This is important. So this is where you should begin in working with the heads and dissecting yourself. If same thing applies if you came through Judaism, or say maybe you were in Islam for many years, not switch, whatever it might be, that paradigm must be broken down first. If that's something you were raised in, if that's something you subscribed to for many years, even though on the surface you might be saying to yourself, oh, I gave that up years ago, but is it all released, not just on a conscious level, is it all released also on a subconscious level? Now, how do you know if it's still impacting you subconsciously? Here's a quick example. I use this example all the time. There was a brother, you've heard me mention this story a few times on the channel. You may or may not. For those that haven't, maybe you have. Okay? This is a brother who thought he was into some type of heavy form of Kemetic occultism, I guess you could call it. He was into the Kemetic mysteries. And we were having a conversation, and he said something that was just, it disturbed me because it irritated me when he said it. This is somebody that claimed he didn't believe in spookism, mystery gods, or any of that type of stuff that religious people believed in. And in our dialogue and conversation, it slipped out. So this is an example of subconscious indoctrination by religion that you may not be aware of. He referred to the deity Ra in ancient Egypt as the Most High. I said, wait a minute, stop. He said the Ra, the Most High God Ra. Now, I know for a fact if I didn't point it out to him, he wouldn't have said what he said when I pointed it out to him. So I stopped him. Now, if I didn't stop him, he probably would have kept going because he wouldn't have caught it, obviously, until it was pointed out. So I said to him, I said, wait a minute, hold on. What do you mean when you say the Most High God Ra? Can you explain that to me? So he said, well, what do you mean? I said, I mean what the question just as it sounds, because when you're saying Ra, the Most High God, how is that different from the Muslims saying the Most High Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High God Allah? How is that different? How is that different from a Rastafarian saying the Most High Jah? How is that different from a Christian saying the Most High God? Can you explain this to me, brother? So he did the Ralph Crandom, the hamana, he started stuttering. And then I think at that moment, I know at that moment he caught himself because he realized where I was going with it. And I still know for a fact if I didn't stop and point this out, he probably would have kept on rambling. And then he said, well, no, brother, what I mean is the higher self. Good comeback. I mean, technically he had a point, but I knew he was reaching for straws because he was trying to save face. Excuse me. I said, so you mean the Most High Self in what aspect? Well, your higher self. You know what I mean? No, I don't know what you mean. I do, but I just want him to explain it. So he didn't really explain it because I realized at that moment he knew where I was going with it. He understood, and I simply said, look, brother, I stopped you not to cause an argument, not to get into some heated debate. It was to validate a point. Here is how religious indoctrination can impact us subconsciously when we're not aware of it. Because you just randomly came out the blue because it's embedded in your subconscious and you refer to Ra as the Most High God. And I asked the brother, I said, what was your religion before this? And guess what the brother's religion was? He was Muslim prior to this. So he still has that Most High Allah God trauma that's impacting him, that he should be doing shadow work to release that. That's my point. You can catch it by your behavior and your actions. And in the Sith sorcery class we're going to do in week 3, I'm going to be focusing on that heavily because Sith sorcery is a great tool to use to monitor and work with your behaviors and your actions. That's what that class is going to really be about. I mean, it's going to go in other areas, but these are ways or signs you can utilize to detect if you're still impacted by religion. Yeah, other ways. Do you still fear? Do you have certain fears and anxieties? What are you talking about, Brother Beniti? Yes, we all fear the unknown to an extent. Even myself, not to the extent it's going to make me live my life in fear, but it makes me realize that there's always an aspect of the unknown. And when something is unknown, you can either utilize that energy from the unknown to fuel and motivate you, or you can use it where it sinks you into a state of fear. What is something of the unknown? One must get acclimated with what we call the death current. Because one of people's number one fears why they get into any spiritual system is the fear of death or the unknown aspect of death. Let's be real. Most of us got on a spiritual path because we wanted to understand this enigma called life and most of all, death. Why are we here? How did we get here? Where are we going when we leave here? And what exactly happens to us when we die? These are some of the key questions, if we are real with ourselves, are some of the key reasons why we got into spiritual systems in the first place. Okay? And if you knew all the answers to that, like the fool that was here earlier, Loopy Boopy, whatever the fuck his name is, Loopy Doop, Loopy Dick, whatever the fuck his name was, or her name was, you would be honest with yourself and stop thinking you're so heavy and deep because you're so intelligent, you're asking questions. I love when people say that. And that is not the first time I've heard that, people. I ask so many questions, nobody can answer. I hear this bullshit for the last 20 years because you're so deep. Your questions are so powerful, brother or sister, that nobody can answer your questions because you're so heavy. The fuck out of here with that bullshit. These are the reasons why we come on this path. And the bottom line is nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen to them when they die. I don't care what book you read, because it's all conjecture and theories. And it's okay to have concepts and theories. Some of it is connected to certain degrees of researched and factual information to a degree. But anybody in the living flesh, unless them motherfuckers can prove they died and came back to life and give us undisputed, undeniable truth, cannot tell you exactly what's going to happen to you when you die. If they do, they're full of shit. Okay? Full of complete, pure, 100% undiluted horseshit. Because that's why a majority of us are here. We're trying to get the answers to those questions. Okay? That's why we are here. Okay? You can read in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Coming Forth by Day, the Torah, the Injil, the Quran. Those are all fabricated mythologies. There's nothing in any of them books that can't be explained here. Okay? Because what's described in paradise in the Quran, there's not one item that I can't find here on earth. Talks about green silk, milk, honey, gold. Show me one thing mentioned in any of them holy books that's mentioned in paradise that you can't obtain here on earth. Why am I drawing that point out? Because it confirms that men wrote those books. That's my whole point. Those books were written by men. If you want to stay trapped in those things, then power to you. Go do it. And then we don't even want to get into the fuckery of all the translations that are in existence. Because everyone claims it's the infallible Word of God. That kills me. The Bible. Let's start there real quick. I ain't going to stay on this shit too long. How many translations do we have of the Bible today? We have the New World Translation, the King James Version, the New King James Version, the Jerusalem Bible. We have the New American Bible that the Catholic Church uses. We have the Mormon version of the Bible. We have the New International Translation of the Bible, and the Good News Bible, the Bad News Bible. Who cares? But my question is, which one is right? And why did God need 50 different translations of his word if it's infallible? That's just the Bible. Now we can go into the Quran. We got Muhammad Pickthall, we got Tariq Tarsal, we got Yusuf Ali. List goes on and on and on. And there's different translations. For an example, all right, you can go in the Yusuf Ali, Tariq Tarsal version of the Quran, and Muhammad Pickthall, Surah 120, verse 102. When it talks, one translation says the guilty blue-eyed, one says the guilty blear-eyed, the other says the guilty gray-eyed. Which one is right? And I'm going to show you it's men, when they translate these things, are the ones that make mistakes. Okay? That's the whole point. And here's the other thing that most Muslims may or may not know. The Quran that they have it in, the order that they have it in, that's not the order it was revealed in. And the Quran was committed to memory. And the Quran that's circulating today wasn't the numerical order that it was given in. And it's not all, and it's not all the surahs as they were written and transcribed, because remember, it was committed to memory. This is when you had all these different sects after their beloved prophet passed away, and then they were fighting over who was the true caliphs. You had the Sunnis, the Shiites, the whole thing that went down with Abu Bakr and the whole Khalif. I'm not gonna get into all that nonsense now. Who cares? Okay. Anyway, I'm not gonna waste my time on it. Yeah, I'm going back and forth through the comments, but my question, for an example, to Luqman Ahmed. So you name yourself after the prophet Luqman, and then you give yourself the name Ahmed, one who was worthy of prayer, after the comfort of Muhammad. So obviously, it's very easy to recognize you're Muslim by your name. Why I would ask you chose the name Luqman, and what do you know about the prophet Luqman in your Quran? And what do you know about the Book of Wisdom? I would ask you that too. And I saw your comical statement that there's one Quran. Show me where that one Quran is. The first original translation, not a modern day translation you're using. You're using a modern translation. You and everybody else that reads the Quran. I want to see the original, authentic Quran, the very first one that the angel Gabriel, when he said to the Prophet Muhammad in Surah 96, Iqra, because the word Quran comes from the word Iqra, to read. And he said, read Iqra. And Gabriel said, I can't read. I'm illiterate, right? That's what it's according to Muslim doctrine, okay? I'm not saying I believe this. I'm telling you according to Muslim doctrine. The word Quran comes from Iqra, to read. The word Quran just means the reading. Where is the original reading? Because now I got a problem, because the very same people that won't tell you basic shit like that, they'll sit there and say something foolish like the word Muslim means one who submits. Completely wrong. Show me the Arabic word for submit, and then show me the Arabic word for peace. The word salam or Muslim, anybody that knows basic Arabic knows the word mu is one in Arabic, and salam is the word peace. Salam, Muslim, one of peace. It's not one who submits. So right out the gate, they're lying to us. Right out the gate, they're lying to us, because to the English convert to Islam who knows no Arabic, and most of the people that are teaching them the Quran in Arabic are either Pakistani, Fardu, Persians, from somewhere in Egypt or Saudi Arabia, and you'll never be held in the same regard as an American convert to their religion. Let's keep it real, 100%. Okay? You can shoot me an email, Luke Man and call, but I'm not going to be getting into no Islamic nonsense, because that's not what this class is about. But if you want to shoot me an email with your phone number, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. But I'm not going to turn this into an Islamic debate, because that's not what this channel is about. So if you're on that path, respect to you, brother. But this channel, it's not what this path is about. Okay. Well, Mythos, you might not want to go there with a lot. Okay. You're not going to go there with a lot, because prior to before, when Muhammad went into Mecca and invaded, the Kaaba there was over 360 idols in the Kaaba. Okay. and Lot was the female moon deity. Islam is based on a lot of paganistic beliefs. Okay, Islam is a baby religion. It's only 1,400 years old, a little bit over. See, this is what I'm saying. You see this nonsense? Let me fuck around with Lukeman here for a little bit. No, Lukeman, I'm not going to waste my time and energy debating Islam. I was a Muslim for over 12, 13 years. There ain't nothing you're going to be able to tell me about Islam. I could probably teach you more about Islam than you think you know. But I'm not gonna even waste my time to turn this session into that. So if you don't want to privately have a debate discussion with me, I said that intentionally because you want to stroke your fucking ego and think you know it all, right? You want to have a debate. What purpose would that serve me? What am I getting out of that? Doesn't serve me no purpose. I don't have no, because I couldn't care two shits about Islam. I already know you can't prove to me there's one Quran. I already know where you're going to go with it. You, first of all, do you speak Arabic? If you do speak Arabic, and we'll start here. Type in something in Arabic. Let's see. Let's start there. And first of all, you spelled Lukeman wrong, but we won't go there. But type in something in Arabic. Do you speak Arabic, brother? Simple yes or no question. Do you speak Arabic? Answer it, yes or no question. And if you do, I would like you to type something in Arabic. Other than some, okay, so how can we even have an intelligent debate? I speak Arabic. So how the fuck are you going to have a debate with me and you don't speak no Arabic? Because I'm going to talk to you about the Quran in Arabic. I don't want to talk to you about it in English. Okay? You don't speak no Arabic and you're defending a book that was written in Arabic and you're going to prove to me, this is comical, that there's one Quran. How are you going to do that, brother? By something you read by some scholar, Sheikh Malana, that you studied under from the Middle East? Did you obtain this knowledge in jail where you were convert on the outside? Well, come on, man. It's comical. Because I want to talk to you in Arabic. I want to talk about the Quran in Arabic. I know all my surahs in Arabic. I still know my salat in Arabic from front to beginning. I'll recite the Fatiha for you right now if you would like. It's that simple. Do you know basic shit like Kif Halik? Outside of Assalamu alaikum, right? And then when you say, somebody says Assalamu alaikum, you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. You don't even know what the fuck you're saying. So other than Assalamu alaikum, salam, or mashallah, or afwan, shukran jazel, if you don't know any other phrases outside of that, you don't know no Arabic. Personally, shut the fuck up, sit down, and keep that bullshit over there. It's that simple. That's my whole point. That's why I wouldn't even entertain a debate. Because if I'm talking to you in Arabic, how are you going to communicate with me? Because you have no idea who the fuck I am, what my background is, and what it is I do or do not know. See, look, let me show Lukeman's message. Now I'm ignorant because he can't answer my questions. Now, what's the word for ignorant in Arabic? And why'd you spell Lukeman like that? It shows your poor understanding of Arabic. Okay? Unbelievable. I don't? Okay. I'll leave it at that. Until you start talking in Arabic, we'll have a dialogue with Arabic in front of the people, so they can see. So because you can't speak no Arabic, we're just going to leave it there. So look how foolish here's a person that claims to be Muslim, using the name Lukeman, which you can't even spell right, claiming there's one Quran, okay? Claiming there's one Quran, and wants to defend a book that's written in Arabic, and he doesn't even speak the language the book was written in. All right, we're done with that. Anyways, as I said, this is an occult channel. And this is not an Islamic channel, it's not a Christianity channel, it's not a Judaism channel. So anybody along the lines like the wannabe prophet Lukeman, which means wisdom, which obviously I wouldn't carry that name, brother, because you have no wisdom. Why would you use a name that means wisdom or has the name wisdom in it and you exhibit none whatsoever? Anyway, yeah, so let's do this. This is what we do to people like that. Hide user, remove. See how that is? Look, like I said, people, don't go there. You don't want to go there with me. Trust me when I tell you. There's many things people don't know. Anyway, finish up with the Leviathan energy. So as I said, once you start identifying what areas you need to fix, now you're pushed in the correct direction of where you need to go. Okay? And as I said before when I was telling you the story, before we got interrupted by Lukeman, right? I was mentioning a story with that brother who was referring to Ra as the Most High God. These are telltale signs by your behaviors, your actions. Things will sometimes come out. And you'll see in a situation like that, okay, this is still impacting me on a subconscious level that I'm not fully conscious of. So what would be a great way to work with this type of energy? How do I fix this? How do I unlock what's embedded there? Okay? How can I get to the point where that stuff is not there anymore and it's not holding me back? All right? Well, you would take a particular system, let's say, if you're working with the clepothic realm, right? A great aspect would be the Lucifer energy, or the activation of what the Lucifer energy represents. It represents a higher level of awareness. We call it, in some circles, activating the eye of Lucifer, right? The eye, activating the eye of Lucifer, unlocks all of those things that are hidden that you need to address by yourself, and then some. It's not only limited to that, because it gets into a whole, I'm just giving you an example. So you can do simple invocations and ritualistic work geared to the Lucifer energy, and you'll be surprised what comes up in the subconscious mind. So it starts there with the dissection and going and being pointed into the direction that you need to be pointed into in order for you to bring about the change. Because like I said earlier, what is the point of unlocking all this, being aware of it, but then step two, we're not doing anything to work on it or fix it? It's that simple. That would be pointless. All right, what I'm going to do for the sake of time, I'm going to go through the chat. I think you guys get the point. The message is, in 2020, we need to shed all this bullshit. If you're not ready to go there, this ain't the place for you. It's that simple. That's where I'm getting ready to go. And it's going to piss a lot of people off, and you already see that. Occasionally, we get the religious fanatics that show up. We'll get the occult wannabes that think they know everything. And, you know, their emotions get offended. Okay? But that's what happens. This is where we're going. All right, so what else we got here? I'm just going to look for some questions or comments in relation to what we were talking about. Okay, Akpan Faku. Yeah, you don't need an Instagram to order the Chaos Oil, Akpan. I don't know if you were on earlier. What I was saying earlier was all you got to do is it's $20. That covers the shipping also, $20 per bottle. All you got to do is use the email address right there in the description box, khnum19@gmail.com. You just send the $20 PayPal and make sure you include your email address in the PayPal. Make sure you include your name and your physical mailing address. That's all you got to do. All right. So you don't need an Instagram to order it. That's irrelevant. You just need to be able to send PayPal. What else we got here? Ritual spirit. You must have typed this in earlier. I haven't seen anybody say they have a problem hearing. I think we should be okay. Okay, it must have been from your phone. I see that. Yeah, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. The more likes the channel gets, the more it gets distributed out on wider search engines on YouTube. Okay, and please subscribe and also hit the notification bell because as you've seen the last several weeks, I'm now kind of just randomly going on live. It's hard for me right now to plan any lives like I used to. So being subscribed with a notification bell, you'll know when I go live. And if you're able to come on, you can come on. All right. Okay, you just ordered it. Cool. All right. Just good comment and question here by Ritual Spirit. Let me address this. This is good. Ritual Spirit writes, I have noticed now that demons and black magic is becoming more trendy. It is also watered down. People think it is cute and rebellious. Armchair occultists and former Christians, very annoying. You hit it on the head. And I've noticed this in the last year or two, or maybe longer. It is becoming trendy. Because when people see that there's some, they have an agenda and they can go in there and hide in it. And this is why I said earlier, there are many levels to what people call a cult. And it's just my opinion. You ain't got to agree with it. I really can care if anybody did or didn't, but I'm just saying. You have people that claim to be a cult, yet they're mixing in voodoo, hoodoo stuff, Santeria, Ifa shit. They're mixing in Kemetic stuff, watered down light Kemetic stuff, and they're mixing it in with demonology and other shit, claiming to be an occultist. That shit exists. You have some that are more on the African spiritual tip. That's a cult only to a degree. Then you have people who have really separated, don't really subscribe to a specific paradigm and work with darker aspects of the magic, say the Klepoptic tree, which is a system, but it's not really a system defined by anything in particular, especially when you're dealing with the Citra Aqua. Now, Kabbalahism too has become kind of watered down occultist too. And you have people that take that stuff and mix it with New Agey doctrine. I agree with you 100%. But here's the reality. Here's the reality check that squashes all that shit. All right. Yeah, you have people like that. You have people that are watering it down, as you described. And as we say in sports, in football, we as men sometimes like to be armchair quarterbacks, but we're not out on the field. The difference between the real and the fake are those that are actually getting results, as opposed to those who just read books, regurgitate a lot of information, or do what you're talking about. But it is a true point. And this is another, in relation to that comment by Mystic Moons, this is another good point. Mystic Moon says, I've noticed that too. The people who think it's trendy and cool and normally stop when they start to dabble in shadow work, the reason why they stop is because shit starts to go amok. See, and that's the thing. I'm glad you pointed it out, because that's where I was getting ready to go next. For the people that might dabble in this and think it's trendy and cool, once you start working with demons and spirits and working dark magic and excuse me, and sorcery, and you start tapping into some of these energies you're not ready for, that's when the cool, trendy shit stops real quick. You start getting headaches, shit starts happening to you, you get terminally ill, bad luck in all aspects. When I say bad luck, meaning your life starts going to shit, your relationship starts going to shit, your career, your money, your business, because you started tapping into some shit you weren't ready for. Because some of these spirits are devouring by nature, and they prey upon and feed off a certain energy. And if you don't know how to facilitate and work with that, you most definitely can get yourself jacked up. Trust me when I tell you. That's why the trendy and the cool shit stops. So these are the people that want to keep it real and safe. Keep it real safe is what I say. So let me call upon the mother goddess Oshun, but let me put a little dark twist to it. That's occultish, right? Or let me dabble in Tiamat and Leviathan and put a little watered down bullshit behind that. Or let me talk about one of the Egyptian deities, put a little dark twist on it, but not too dark, just so I can still keep it just fluffy enough so I can still captivate the emotions of the people who want to keep it safe, but cloak it in this illusion that it's dark magic, or it's left-hand path, or it's black magic, or whatever, or it's occult. That stuff will fade in time, especially when you're doing your personal work. Because when you really access the energy of Set, that is not the same energy you might got familiar with in your Kemetic studies. It's a different energy. When you access the real power of Asset, as opposed to the right-hand path, fluffy aspect of Asset, you're going to be like, whoa, that's not the same aspect that I was familiar with when I was into my Kemetic studies. And then the one that really fucks people up, I see it all the time, Kali. Why? Because Kali is used in a lot of New Age circles. I've seen Kali is venerated in a lot of Wiccan pagan circles. I see Kali activated in Obia in Trinidad. There's a whole group of people that practice Obia and have incorporated Kali worship into Obia. That's a fact. Go look it up. There's people who use it on the left-hand path too, but it's used more as a reconstructive or destructive, reconstructive energy. And when they tap into it on this path, they don't realize how volatile and powerful that Kali energy is. And it turns their whole life upside down. And they weren't prepared or ready for it. So now the dabbling in over the trendy and the cool shit has now disappeared. And then they want to know why all of a sudden are they having problems in their marriage? Well, you just invoked Kali. You asked for Kali's assistance. When you invoke the left-hand path aspect of Kali, Kali is going to remove out of your path anything that's not productive for you. And you just may not be aware of it. That could be your husband or your wife that sleeps next to you every night. And you don't want to know all of a sudden why you're having arguments. Because Kali's trying to let you know that's part of your problem. You just didn't see it. Or why all of a sudden are you getting into drama on your job? Kali's trying to let you know that's not your destiny. That's not where you're supposed to be. You've accepted your circumstance rather than manipulate and master it. So Kali might say, or might activate an energy around you that says you need to be away from that job and need to see this, something going on over here. So people ain't ready for that. Now it's not trendy and it's not cute anymore. And it's not about burning incense and mixing oils and doing conjure spells and prayers. Prayers are for people that have trust in things not seen or proven. There's a difference between doing invocations, evocations, and even affirmations. When you are praying, my question would simply be, what is it you're praying to? Because if you're praying to a deity, now you're conforming to something outside of yourself. And that's not the purpose of deity. The purpose is to embody what deity represents, not grovel in front of it, not worship it. It's to embody what it represents. So if you're saying a prayer to Tahuti, you're spooked the fuck out. There's no other way to put it. This path is complete opposite of that. But good point. What else we got? Streeter, yeah, let me address that. Raymond Grimassi, I think somebody mentioned him earlier. He put out a book called Italian Witchcraft. He's got a DT in there very similar to Allegua, for an example, and Ducey. If you look it up, you'll see it's basically, and it is a system that exists in the Mediterranean. What most people don't know, in the southern Mediterranean, in Sicily, or the Mediterranean, an example, they practiced witchcraft. Now, it's more of a high magical system or pagan system. You can incorporate, or there are some valued aspects of it, but I would suggest, and the book is called Italian Witchcraft. I would definitely suggest people look at it. I came across that book, first time I stumbled across it, I think was 99 or 2000. I've had that book for a long time. There's a couple of good key things in there, but it's more along the line of pagan worship / Wiccan nature magic. It's not really dark. There are some good initiations in there, but that's what Strija is. It's the Italian word for dealing with witchcraft, or the witchcraft of the system amongst that group of people. Now you're going to find even another good book to get some history on that, which is probably one of the most mainstreamed, simplified books on witchcraft, Raymond Buckland's Guide to Witchcraft, which is probably one of the most well-known books. And again, those systems are okay to get a basic, very simple understanding, or I should say limited understanding of magic. It's okay, but it's not left-hand path. I want to make that clear. It's not black magic. It's magic. It's a form of magic, lighter systems of magic, earth magic, Wiccan magic, right? No, Wicca isn't. That's correct, Mystic Moons. Actually, Strega, depending on how you want to pronounce it, or Italian witchcraft is much older than Wicca. Because remember, when you study that system, when you're in there, you're going to see practices familiar with the Druids. You'll even see some connection with some African practices in there. Now, why is that? You got to remember the people in the southern Mediterranean, especially the people in southern Italy and Sicily. If you look on a map, and if you know the history of Sicily and North Africa and Hannibal, remember at one point, North Africa laid claim, and actually that they considered that a part of their territory. That's what that whole conquering of Hannibal was about. This is why if you go to Sicily and Southern Europe today, and you'll see the difference geographically and genetically of people from Southern Italy as opposed to people from Northern Italy. You can, obviously, if you still go to Southern Italy today, you will still see a lot of the Moorish architecture, because remember, after that, there was a Moorish invasion. A lot of the cathedrals and the churches still have that Moorish architecture and design. And some of the ancient traditional Sicilians, when they see darker skinned people, they refer to tourists who might be of African descent or of a darker ethnic people. They refer to them as cugino, cousins, right? Because they know their history. And the Southern Italian is more darker skinned. A good movie that depicts that too, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. If you look at people from Sicily and Southern Italy, sometimes their features and their hair. I have an uncle, actually, who, because part of my background is Sicilian and Lebanese, and he has a fro. And we always used to tease him that he was adopted. We used to joke with him, because he's the only one out of the four brothers that like has a fro. And I say a fro, it's a fucking fro. He looks like Saeed Baba, if you ever seen Saeed Baba. Because they know that they were mixed in with the indigenous people of North Africa. There's a connection there. And with that connection with Northeast Africa and the Southern Mediterranean, especially Sicily and the southern part of Italy, there was the integration. They mixed, they produced children, the cultures got intertwined. So a lot of that was grafted, and you could still see the effects of it today. This is a fact. Do your research. That's why when you read that book, if you know your history and done your research, you will go through that book and be able to pick up on those things. Like, oh, I see why that's there. Oh, so there's a lot of practices in that book that predate what we know as that system. All right. That might be an interesting topic to do a class on. Give me an idea. Yes, he did. Blade of Astar. Grimassi did. And he was, he did mix different concepts. And I talked about that earlier. Now, yes, the mainstream Wiccan community had a problem with that. Me, really, it's irrelevant. I don't really give a shit. Unless you are a strict practice of Gardnerian Wicca, if that's like your passion, and it irritated a lot of people in them circles, and it's true, he did. But I, from a neutral perspective, don't really have an issue with that, because if he came, now will that work for everybody else? No, in that community. But if he came up with something, and it appears he did, that produced results for himself and others that practice that path, I really don't have a problem with that. I couldn't care. But you're correct. He did mix them. And they'll tell you that actually in the book. And you'll even hear it. Raymond Buckland actually talks about it. I don't know if it was that book or somewhere else. I've read him talk about that a couple of times in some of his previous books. Okay, what's this one here? Music, comic, ENT. Have you ever heard of anyone that speaks on the left-hand path from the perspective from a left-handed person? What do you mean, being left-handed? Maybe I'm not understanding your question. Maybe type something in there. Now, remember the term left-hand path. Now, if you're a left-hand path, then the right hand would be, I guess, symbolically the opposite to what the left would be. I'm not sure if you're asking from that perspective. But let me say this, and maybe you'll type something in later down, just so we get clarification on the question, if you're still here. Remember, the term left-hand path is just a term. And what it basically means is, because it just means not being conformed to the norm. right? Now, they say left hand because most people predominantly on the planet are right-handed. And they use the term left hand because left hand is something more rare. It's something that's not as prevalent amongst the masses. If we did the ratio between people that were left-handed or right-handed, there would be a great variance percentage-wise. Now, here's the reality when it comes to that. Now, there are some metaphysicians or metaphysics or people that teach metaphysics teach that because the earth being shifted on its axis a multitude of times, it shifted some people more predominant to one side than the other. I'm not sure if I believe there's too much truth in that. I've heard this in a couple different circles over the years. So if you're asking in that sense, it's just a term. I wouldn't get caught up in it. So it just means to not be a conformist or mainstream. So whether we call it left-hand path, we're saying because the majority of people are on paths that would be considered right-hand path, which would be your lighter systems. So it's just a term. I wouldn't get caught up in it because, like you say, if you're left-handed, then should you be right-hand path? I wouldn't get caught up with it on that level is what I'm saying. It's just a symbolic term. It really don't mean it. And that's why I don't even really, as I've said many times over the last several years, I prefer to refer to this path using the term, if we needed to use a term to describe it, would be the path of self-mastery as a better description. Because then it takes us out of all those definitions. Good point, Mystic Moons. The internet and certain books have fluff up shadow. Well, because you got a lot of people out now writing books on the occult and shadow work and dark magic, and they really right-hand path fluffy philosophers. That's why. Because of what was said earlier. I think you said it earlier, that's become a trendy thing now. So a lot of the books going back maybe 15, 20 years ago that were coming out, let's say on the Goetia, right? A lot of books written on the Goetia are written by people that don't even really practice demonology. These are the same people that are writing books on angel magic and fairies and mermaids. This is the shit that I'm talking about, right? Where are they getting this from? They're getting this from pre-existing grimoires. And then they're putting their interpretation on, which is fine. But I think you should specify to the people that you're not really submerged in working the dark arts or dark magic. And that's why you see that. And it's getting worse as we now go from the 2000s on to the present day. Moving forward, because it's become more trendy, you're going to start seeing people writing books on Lucifer, the Clepothic realm, the different demons, the Goetia, because now it becomes a trendy thing. I can either make money off of it, I got an agenda I can hide behind in it. That's the day and time we live in. And that's why I said when you're in your chamber and you're accessing and you're really working with these energies, don't matter. All the books, it's irrelevant. All that shit's to the side. All that stuff doesn't exist because what you're getting ready to unlock and tap into, you better be prepared. That's all. Yeah, Mythos, good point. There is no quick fix to doing real work. If you think you're going to come on this path and everything's going to be fixed like that, you're fooling yourself. And you can go back to videos going back years, a few years back on this channel. I've always said from day one, it's not easy. I've made that crystal clear. I've always said, one, it's a continuous work in progress. It's never ending. You're constantly working on yourself. And most importantly, you must obtain a certain level of consistency. I've made that clear from the jump. Anybody that thinks that this is a quick fix is fooling themselves. If anything, it becomes even more challenging. But the rewards are greater when you really get flowing on this path than anything else you've been on before. That's the difference. But I've even likened this to being more complicated than from what you once came from. Because with the level of knowing and awareness, now comes a responsibility. What's the responsibility? The responsibility to do something about it. Because if you don't and you become a victim to your circumstances, then there's nobody to blame but you. Thenceforth, the principle I've been saying for years, the difference with us and other people and systems is we take responsibilities for our successes and also for our failures. So there's nobody to blame. That's the responsibility. You must foot the blame, and you also must take the credit. So that's the difference. But the rewards are far more greater than anything you've ever experienced before. What are those rewards? A beautiful lifestyle. And anybody that tells you to a certain degree that materialistic and physical things are unimportant, tell them to go jump off a bridge and kill themselves, because they're full of shit. Who doesn't want to drive a nice car? Who doesn't want to live in a nice apartment, condo, or house? Who doesn't want to have their own business, career, profession that they dream of doing? Who doesn't want to be able to just reach in their pocket for money and go out and have a nice time at a nice restaurant? Who doesn't want to just go enjoy a nice play, musical, or movie? Who doesn't want to go have a nice time out and enjoy a nice sporting event? Who doesn't occasionally want to have a nice delicacy like a nice slice of cheesecake? Anybody that tells you they don't enjoy those simple things in life, tell them to go kiss my ass. Most people that are telling you that shit is because they're failures in those areas of their life. And one thing this path doesn't teach teaches on the physical is indulge to a certain degree, enjoy your successes on the physical. Okay, we ain't on this shit. Oh, don't be in the world. Just totally abandon all that. You must woosah, become one with the universe. Man, fuck out of here with that shit. Most of those people that are in that mindset and ideology, they're broke. Their lives are a hot mess. Their family relationships are to shit. Their marriages or personal and sexual relationships are shitty. Their friends and social circles are jacked up. They're probably working a miserable job that they can't fucking stand, and they're always in shitty, pissy moods. So what they do is they find a religion they can hide behind as a crutch to lean on and justify why they are a failure. I'm so bitter, but my life's a hot mess, but there's pie at the end of the rainbow waiting for me. Pie in the sky. If I'm a loyal, devoted Muslim and I follow all the 5 pillars of Islam and I make my Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca, I'm gonna automatically get a free ticket into Jannah, paradise. How fucking stupid is that shit? If I'm saved, if I just pronounce I'm saved by the blood of Jesus, right? I'm automatically got a one-way ticket into heaven. Well, I said a million times before, there's going to be a long-ass line in heaven. There's going to be a line for Pentecostals, Catholics, Christians, Jehovah's, Seventh-day Adventists, non-denominational. There's going to be a line for Sunni Muslims, Shiite Muslims, Ahmadiyya Muslims, Baha'i Muslims, Nation of Islam Muslims. I mean, this shit is comical. But that's weak-minded people hiding those ideologies because it gives them an excuse for being a failure. But okay, it's tough here. Everything's caving in here, but I know if I'm just loyal and devoted to the end, I'm going to be going into this place called paradise. And like I said earlier, if you weren't on earlier, show me one thing in the Quran that the Quran mentions in paradise that you can't get here on earth. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. The Quran talks about green silk. I can get that here. The Quran talks about milk and honey. I can get that here. It talks about water. I can get that here. It talks about, well, maybe not virgins anymore. That's becoming a rarity. It talks about virgins, right? This is the crazy shit why these fundamentalists, show me one. I'm just asking for one thing. In the Quran, mentioned in Jannah, which is heaven, that I can't get here on earth. Now, here's the answer to that question. It's confirmation that human mortals wrote that book. Because only human mortals would describe human things. It's that simple. And this is why there's multiple translations. I want to get into that. I addressed that earlier. You get the point. So it goes to show you the idiocy. I'm going to be subservient and be a slave to obtain things that I can get here on my own without the aid of this fictitious God called Allah, who is a fifth, who is a myth and a mythology. As talked about earlier, before Muhammad went into Mecca and invaded it and took it over, the Kaaba, which just means Kaaba, 4 square, right? And look at this dumbass shit these Muslims teach today. or the stone turned black in the Kaaba because everybody that kissed it, their sins turned it black. Get the fuck out of here with that stupidity. You got to be a fool to believe that nonsense. That's what the black stone, that was the first meteorite that hit the planet. Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense. Right? Prior to that, there was a moon deity, a female moon deity that somebody mentioned earlier in the chat called Allat, A-L-L-A-T, that the Quran, by the way, mentions. It was a moon deity. Now, if you do your connect, there's a book, the Yoruba, and I can't remember. It's written by a brother from West Africa. I don't have access to it right now. He talks about the connection of how those deities came from West Africa and migrated into the Kaaba in what we know as Saudi Arabia today, right in the Northeast African region, which really technically that's where it is. And look at the fuckery there, Middle East. You're either East or you're not. How the fuck you in the Middle East, right? See, people think Egypt is the Middle East. Egypt is Northeast Africa. Let's stop fooling ourselves. Saudi Arabia is just slightly off to the side of it. But we don't want to consider that as a part of the African region, right? It's right in the same area. But it's the Middle East. Think about that. Is there a Middle West? Is there a Middle North? Is there a Middle South? Why the only thing that exists geographically on a map is the motherfucking Middle East? Think how... Anyway, you get my point. So the Kaaba wasn't always this sacred place that the modern day Quran, which is barely over 1,400 years old, mentions. It was a place of multiple gods. And the Arabians, before Muhammad got there, worshipped and dealt with these multiple gods that pre-existed before they fabricated a law. And Muslims get all up in arms when you tell them Allah has a female counterpart. Astaghfirullah, brother. Astaghfirullah, Aki. I'm just telling you the history that's there. I'm telling you because at one time I was in that dumbass religion for many years. I ain't telling you this from my opinion. Ask a Muslim when they're making salah. Let me say that dumb. We get indoctrinated, right? When they're doing tajweed, right? The oneness of Allah. I've never had any Muslim ask me this question without giving me a hadith. When you're done making your salah, you move your finger right to right, like they say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa la sharika lahu Muhammadur Rasul. Why do you do that? Why I'm a Muslim. If you're watching this, email me. Why do you do this at the end of your salah? Let me leave it at that. There's a lot of things. First of all, you can't even find the entire salat in its entirety in the Quran. So now the question is, where did the form of salat that the Muslims use today, where did it come from? Because you can find sajda, some of the positions. You can find them even prior to that in the Bible. But where can you find takbir? Where can you find qiyam? Right? All of these positions of prayer. Right? Takbir is when they go Allahu Akbar. Qiyam. Sajda you can find, which is prostration. Because the Hebrews were doing that. That's nothing new, according to religious theology. But my question is, thus not finding pieces of it, where exactly word verbatim, in the exact order that a Muslim makes salat today, can you find it in the Quran? You can't. They'll take you to the hadith. Because most Muslims today don't really follow the Quran. They follow the hadiths more than they do the Quran. When the Quran says itself, it is the best of hadith. What is the word hadith in Arabic? It means tales or stories. They're more busy following the hadiths of Bukhari. That's their real Quran. Because all the traditions, the word sunnah, which most Muslims worldwide are Sunni Muslims, or they claim to practice the traditions of the Prophet, which were written in the hadiths, or the tales of the Prophet. They don't follow the Quran. Everything they do is in them hadiths. 80% of their way is in them hadiths. You can't find the system of salat in the Quran. I already know that. Don't even try to play yourself. You can't. Can you find it in the hadiths? Yeah. But if you follow the Quran and that is law, how are we to validate what hadiths are right or wrong? And I already heard the stories on this. Because there's some stupid ass hadiths. Some hadiths condone you can marry children. Remember, is the Prophet Muhammad a pedophile? Go look. How old was Aisha when he married Aisha? Go look it up. She was a young child. Go look it up and see how young. and see how appalled you might get at that. So should we accept, can a grown-ass man in their 40s and 50s be with an 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old child? Do you know that's accepted in some places? Is that pedophilia? In my book, it is. I know there's no restrictions on this path. I have my own personal restrictions. Ain't no way in any shape, form, or fashion should any grown-ass man 40 and above be fucking with no child. That's a sickness, is what that is. This is what Islam condones. Okay? Go look it up for yourself. I'm not making this stuff up. Go look this up for yourself. I'm telling you, it's right there, smack in front of your face. So you can't find it. I already know that. Trust me when I tell you. So now, and the last thing I'll say in this, let me move on, because I know I've been on this shit for a while. Somebody, you awaken the dragon. That's what happens now. Muslims will tell you they're not sun worshippers either. Do you worship the sun, brother? No. Why are all of your prayers in conjunction with the positioning of the sun? Because they're fire worshippers. Understand what was in the Kaaba before Muhammad and the Quraysh tribe took it over. They were worshiping fire gods. And don't you believe, or you can believe it or not, if you don't think some of that paganism, just like with Catholicism and Christianity, didn't get mixed into Islam, you're foolish. Okay? Now here's another thing they won't tell you. Muhammad's first wife, Khadijah, was a Christian. Muhammad was taught, and her father was one of the most renowned Christian scholars at that time in Mecca and Medina. This is fact. Go look it up. So Muhammad was taught by a Christian, by the people of the book, who most Muslims say, oh, no, that's not, don't have anything to do with that. But question is, why are all of your prayers in accordance with the sun? What do you mean, Brother Benini? Well, real simple. Fajr prayer is done at when the sun comes over the horizon, sun worship, centered around the sun. Then you have your second prayer in the morning, which comes between Fajr and your afternoon prayer, Isha, right? And then you have your late afternoon prayer, Isha. And then you have your daybreak prayer, which is when the sun is setting, and then your night prayer. And then there's even sooner prayers you can do in between your night prayer and your Fajr daybreak prayer, Salatul Fajr. All in conducive with the sun crossing the horizon. Now we've got Horus worship and sun worship and Ra worship infused in Islam. We have Kaaba worship, a lot idol worship infused in Islam, but they refuse to acknowledge it. They don't want it. They'll tell you no. Astaghfar Allah, brother. Astaghfar Allah. They'll seek forgiveness in Allah. That's what I just said. They'll tell you that's not true. Show me otherwise. Because I already know, for being in that nonsense for years, you guys follow the Hadith more than you follow the Quran. That's a fact. It's a fact. Check it out for yourself. All right. Yeah, you guys got me going throwback today. What else we got? It's good analogy by Mystic Moons. Reminds me when Anakin came into the order late in Star Wars and had to deprogram himself and of his thoughts. Yeah, and we saw what that led him. We saw how he went through his struggles, right? Days Rot, yes, that is a yes, you do see a aspect of Santa Muerte, the Holy Death. Now, let me say this on that. There's actually a couple back there, or what we know as the Grim Reaper energy, right? Remember, what we know as the Holy Death modern day has its origins in the ancient Aztecs and Mayans as the goddess of the underworld that bridges the gap between the living and the realm of the dead, which is the realm of the eternal living. So yes, I work with it in that aspect. I don't want to get too much into that now because I've done classes on that. There's videos I have titled with the Holy Death, and I would go check those out and get some time. But yes, working with the Holy Death is another powerful tool one must be prepared to work with. True, most indeed. All right. What else we got? Yeah, and there's another comment by Mystic Moons. We are conditioned from birth, majority of us. Because remember, we're coming through a chain, a link of indoctrination that was given to our parents, that was given to their parents, that was given to their parents' parents, etc. But the beauty of it is, with the awareness that I was talking about earlier, and now the knowing, we have the ability to break the chains now when we give birth to our children, our seeds moving forward. They can now be birthed into the world, not under that system of indoctrination. And the beauty about it is, I've got 2 sons who this is all they know. They weren't birthed into that area. Now, they're aware of it. It exists. It's around them. We live in a society where it's everywhere. So it's not to say you're not going to have your challenges. That's not what I'm saying. But the beauty of it is, we can break that chain by giving our kids moving forward. Now they have a head start and a know-how. And it probably pushes them way ahead of us as far as when we came. As I said earlier in the beginning of the video, you might have came on this path when you were 18, 19, 20, 30, 40, 45, or whatever. So there's a lot more deprogramming to do than, say, some of it on somebody who came much later. So now think of the beauty, how we can break those chains. It's now your responsibility, now that you know. One, it's your responsibility to teach yourself. And remember I said, one of the aspects of magic is to reprogram your subconscious mind. That's step 1. You've got to reteach yourself first in order for you to teach others. So you can't teach anything or anybody until you've gotten your shit right. Hence shadow work. Hence working with the 7 heads of Leviathan, etc. This is where this all comes into play. All right. Let's see what else we got. Mythos typed in earlier to that fool, Luke Man Ahmed, that left there. Doesn't know Allah is really a woman. No, because they don't do that research. See, a lot of these converts to Islam in America, first of all, to any convert to Islam in America, you will never, ever be respected on any level. I don't care what they tell you. Okay? You're always going to be looked at converting to their culture, their way of life, their religion. It's very similar for all of us that grew up in places, like I grew up, spent my whole entire life, except for the last few years, in New York. And look at how some, not all, look at how some people from Nigeria and other parts of Africa look at African Americans. They don't really look at some African Americans as being African. And then when they see some African Americans wearing dashikis and African attire and culture, you guys, some of you that are there know what I'm talking about. They look at you as people who are just trying to imitate their culture and the way of life. They never have that full respect for you. Well, it's the same thing with Islam. Most of these brothers that convert to Islam in America, they either got it in jail, they find Islam in jail, or they get saved in jail via Christianity, or they encountered here out on the streets. And as I said earlier, with whatever that dude's name was, Luke bin Ahmed earlier, they want to sit here and defend a religion that they know nothing about. As you saw earlier, that fool don't even speak Arabic, but wants to have a conversation with me and made a dumbass statement and put his foot in his mouth. And then after that, I was ignorant. Put a foot in his mouth and made a statement and said there's only one Quran, because he's going to get all religious and philosophical. There's only one word of Allah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, the oneness of Allah. But he didn't get anything I was saying prior to that. He's not going to want to get into the historical scholarship aspect of how fucking many times that book has been tampered with, mistranslated, and retranslated over and over again. And yet wants to do this in English and speaks not a lick of Arabic. That just shows you the ignorance. That's number 2. Okay? We got to stop wanting to convert to other people's shit. Okay? And start creating our own shit. I don't want to be Pakistani Hindu, Arab, Saudi Arabian, or none of that shit. Because no matter if you could put on a tagiyah, a jalibiyah, get you a salat prayer rug and make salat. You can go to Juma every Friday. You can be active in the masjid. It ain't gonna matter. It ain't gonna matter. Try to take over the masjid. Excuse me. Try to take over the masjid. Do a calculated count of how many imams nationwide that are American that run masjids. Go online and research all your masjids. Somebody from Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia. They might have a backup imam in there or some puppet that they put in there. But most of your imams in your masjids in America aren't American. I said most. Okay, because I can hear some people going, that's not true. I didn't say there aren't any. I said, but the number is probably very small compared to those who aren't. Because again, we want to convert to somebody else's religion. How's that working for them in China? Right? We see what's going on in China. I don't want to get into that nonsense, but you get the point. It's all stupidity. This is what happens when you're trying to be everything except for what you should be on the path of self-mastery. When you start wanting to be Egyptian, and then you got these other people thinking that everybody's from ancient Egypt. Got news for you. Not everybody's an ancient Egyptian. Stop that shit. Okay, that's not true. Okay? I know people would like to think that because they pick up some books on Egypt and they like to convince themselves now they're an ancient Egyptian. You're not. Okay? This is how you get overloads instead of downloads. That's the other trendy term now. Everybody does videos, they're getting downloads from the ancestors and downloads from this deity and downloads from that deity. Really? Maybe you're getting an overload because you've just been reading about it so much. Your mind's playing tricks on you, like the Ghetto Boys said in that song back in 1990. Your mind's playing tricks on you, homie. You're getting an overload, not a download. Okay? Anyway, get the point. Yeah, Damon 23. They're too ignorant to see that. See, those that know me know my background, where I used to be. I ain't there no more, but you don't want to go back and revisit that. Because I left all that, and it's what led me to here. And now I'm here, and I'm committed to this. This has done more for me than anything ever prior to it. And I know this is the real deal simply based on the results. All those other systems are systems of poverty. Not just financially, yes. Most of these cats, I still know a lot of these cats that are Muslims. When I go back to New York today, they're still doing the same shit. They're set up on street corners, peddling their trinkets, selling oils, selling their little garbage-ass books, sleeping on their mom's couch, riding the bus and the subway with their folding tables, and they all think they're doing some righteous shit, serving the law. And they're pissed, pop. They're broke not just financially, but they're broke mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and they're bums. Okay, I just gotta call it for what it is. You know something is wrong when you're still doing the same shit you was doing back in the 80s and we're in 2020. Something's wrong. You're not changing with the times. You're not updating yourself. So instead of getting downloads, maybe you should get uploads. You understand what I'm saying? I came from them backgrounds. You're nothing you're going to tell me that I ain't heard before. That's why I laugh with these two fucking buffoons that come in here today. Well, the first one, Whoopie Doop, Doopie Poop, or Poopie Doop, whatever the fuck the name was. Nobody has ever answered any of my questions because you are so special and spiritual. That's why. You are so deep. You're heavy. You're too motherfucking deep for me. I can't call it. So go somewhere. Then go somewhere where you could be deep. And then you have the other one who can't even spell Lukman Ahmed, who's using poor versions of Farsi, which he thinks is Arabic. Well, doesn't because he doesn't know Arabic. And then wants to have a debate on Islam and the Quran, thinks he's some righteous jihad warrior. all for naught, not realizing nobody here basically gives two shits about any of that stuff. And the only reason why I'm addressing it, because there will be people that may be struggling in those areas that might stumble across this video later after it posts. You know how many Muslims that are in limbo trying to get out of that shit and just don't know, need answers to certain questions? So for the very people that it annoys, it's going to awaken a whole nother group of people. And that's why I'm doing this, because spirit and the energy that I'm tapping into now is saying, address this for those that come across this, that it's going to help. So I'm not interested in the ones that annoys, pisses off, it doesn't help. I couldn't care. It's not for you. But for the one that's sitting out there that needs to be resurrected from that system of conformity, that system of death, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, this is your wake-up call. Wake the fuck up. Get out of that. And especially if you're a female. It is the most degrading religion for any female to be in. Women in that religion are treated like second-class citizens. And the only justification of it is their dumbass hadiths and certain surahs in the Quran. Women can't even pray in the same section in the masjid as the men. How fucking dumb is that? What are we living in? Middle Ages? And the only answer is, well, Allah decreed it. No, I think some chauvinistic man that wrote the book decreed it. Because they were trying to keep that patriarchal system in effect. Because I want a woman that walks side by side with me, not behind me. I don't want no fucking female that I got to tuck away in the back room. If my female can't be side by side with me doing whatever the fuck it is we're doing, then I don't need to be with her. Period. So it works two ways. And I don't condone all that other shit. We know the feminine energy. We know that whole concept of the feminine God. But we need both, the masculine and the feminine. They're supposed to walk side by side. That's what this path is about. Neither one is greater than the other. They are both needed. And they're both needed in harmony. In some cases, one more than the other. It's up to you to figure that shit out. So I don't need no religion to tell me that my motherfucking woman got to pray in a whole nother area of the masjid away from all the men. What kind of foolishness is that? And the only justification is some stupid ass surah in the Quran or some dumbass hadith written by men. And this is the stupidity you want to convert us over to. And this is why you see we're living in a day and time where these, and again, I want to make this clear. I know a lot of Muslims, though I may not agree with them, they're good people. They're firm in their faith, and I respect them for that. I don't want to link them in with a lot of these fanatic terrorists that are out here. But you can see why it breeds terrorism now. Why it breeds fanatical terrorists. To the length that they go, they believe that if they blow themselves up and kill themselves, they're going to a land of milk and honey, a place called Jannah or Paradise where they're going to be blessed with all these virgins, which is shit you can get here on the planet Earth. Stupidity, people. Pure, utter stupidity. It's a pretty sick religion when you have no value for your life and you would strap a bomb to yourself and blow yourself up and kill yourself up. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty fanatical. I'll give you points in the devotion department, but I give you more points in the stupidity department. I'm not teaching that to my children. I'm not teaching that or condoning that in any shape, form, or fashion because it breeds utter fanaticism and stupidity. Point blank. Islam breeds stupidity. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You don't got to agree with it. If you don't, go to Islamic channel and talk that Islamic shit over there. All right? All right, what else we got? Yeah, that's another thing. When they type it in with all caps, they get annoyed. That's another thing. Look, man. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think you guys get the point. I think you guys know what I'm capable of doing in that area. You don't want to go there. Trust me. You're right. Let's not waste your time. What else we got? Oh, Brother Tizzy. What's going on, brother? Yep. You get, yeah. So, Tizzy, you got your Shahada. For those that don't know what a Shahada is, it's kind of like an Islamic baptism. It's when you make your declaration and faith in Allah and the Prophet Muhammad. Of course, it had to be given by a foreigner for the most part, because, again, they look at Americans as converts to their religion, to their way of life. They're never going to accept you as being one of them. As hard as you might try, to grow your beard and give the whole, Muslim look, as hard as you might try to put on the jalabia and the tagil or the emma, the whole nine, you'll never be on their level, because they're always going to look at you as a convert to their way of life. It's that simple. You don't have to agree with it. I'm telling you, I know for a fact. Okay, what do we got? What else we got? Oh, damn, this thing skipped on me. Hold on. Because I'm having fun with this shit today. Okay, here we go. I got it. All right, so Blade of Astar says, so getting back to the concept of the dragon, do you think alignment with the dragon archetypes like Tiamat and Leviathan can put you in a place of opposition to the more traditionally of aligned energies? Yes. Most 100% yes. And that was the point of doing this video. In a nutshell, you just summed it up in a beautiful way. It will most definitely create that awareness. Now, having said that, will it be easy? I think we discussed that already. No. And I think it's one of the best systems out there to utilize or use to put you in that space. I would definitely, now I can tell you this, working with Tiamat and Leviathan can be intense and disturbing via your dreams. I went through periods of not feeling right or physically sick. I've had moments where I've been in my chamber that you see sitting behind me, where I felt claustrophobic, and I almost had to resist and get up and leave, because I was tapping into I was bringing up a lot of anxieties, because I was conjuring up a lot of thoughts or fears of the unknown. I was placing myself in scenarios that were very frightening to me, such as the loss of my youngest child. I can go on, but I think you get the point. But that needed to happen in order for me to have the awareness and the understanding. But one thing that the Leviathan, Tiamat, and that type of energy really made me realize, that there's so much shit that I'm holding on to that's unnecessary. And that's henceforth why for the last several weeks you've been hearing me talk a lot, and why the change that I've been really hitting on hard lately. Because I'm starting to see, as a group of people on this path of self-mastery, there's still a lot of shit we need to just release and let go. And we're still holding on to it, and we're trying to justify and find reasons for it. I'm telling you, and I'm not ashamed to say it as a man. I literally wanted to get up out of this chamber. If y'all know what it's like to be claustrophobic, like trapped in a closet, we've all been, you ever joke around, play around, or you ever wrestling with your brother or your cousin on the bed and they smother you with a pillow? You know what I'm talking about? Remember that as kids, that feeling of, I've had that feeling in my work, where I felt like everything was caving in on me and I didn't know how to react. But here's what I did. As I got super hyperactive and I started having that anxiety, another calmer voice kicked in. The personal daemon, the higher self. And for the personal live stream we're going to do in February, I'm going to be going into this a little more in depth. That inner voice kicked in and said, relax, take some deep breaths, embrace and enjoy the moment, explore. Experience was the word I kept hearing. So I sat back down in this very chair I'm sitting in right now towards my chamber, and I started to do relaxing, cleansing breaths. And then I started to do my klapothic breathing, reverse my inhales and my exhales. And then it took me into the void, and it made me realize that what I was running from was what I needed to know. The anxiety that I was conjuring up was the reality of feeling the emotions of what it would be like to lose a loved one or something, or what it would be like to disconnect from something, what it would like to be all on your own and have the pressure of figuring it out and coming to the conclusions for yourself. What I also came to the conclusion in a lot of that work was, because my father, who recently passed away in January of 2018, I've been carrying a lot of subconscious fear that possibly could be my destiny, and it may be. But I realize it becomes more of my destiny if I embrace it that way. And I think the impact, because I've watched him go through the transition and the stages, like I did my mother, and seeing the two people that were responsible for creating me and bringing me into this world and giving me life, watching them go through what they went through was a traumatic experience for me, because I saw it from the beginning stages to the very end. It's not like it just happened and I wasn't there. It's not the same when somebody dies quick and tragically as the same when you watch somebody go through stages of it and you're there to the very last breath. That is a totally different experience, and it has a whole different impact on you than the other. Trust me when I tell you. I realized I was running from that. I realized coming from a place years ago, I've been in situations out on the street, not knowing where my next meal is going to come from, not knowing, where my next dollar is going to come from, not knowing where I'm going to be able to lay my head down. That motivates me today to never want to go back to that again. And I take that energy and that fear, and I use that to motivate me. I promise to never go back there again. But I realize I still harbor some traumatic energy from that. Because if anybody's ever been in that situation and you don't know where you look, when my first son was born, okay, in 1992, I'm not going to get into the specifics. I was in a situation where I was put out on the street in the middle of winter with his mother at the time, and my son was maybe 2 months old. And literally had to figure it out. I don't even want to tell you, but literally had to figure it out. That's a scary place. And I'm sure there's been plenty people, you might know, you might even be one yourself watching this. You've been in a similar circumstance and you know what that feels like. Those are the things that motivate me to never go back there again. You understand? This path shows you, it makes you embrace it. It makes you put it into perspective, move forward, and it shows you how to master it to make sure that never happens again. There's no Allah, no Quran, no Bible, no Jesus, no Jehovah, no Tahuti, none of that shit can do it for you alone. You have to want to do it for yourself. I know what it's like to be there. And I will do whatever I got to take to make sure I don't ever go back there. Okay? And when you hear me talking about these things, I'm talking about these things from experience, not because I just feel like talking about them. I was in a bad place during them times, early 90s. I was going through some serious shit. Going into the late 90s until I started to get my act together in the early 2000s. 2001 is probably when I had my greatest awakening. And I say awakening in the term of awareness, not because no spook deity came to me and said, Boniti, you are chosen. No, none of that shit. It literally got up and I realized I'm associating myself with some fucked up people. See, we don't want to start there. My mother used to always say, you are the company you keep. If you're hanging around broke, derelict people that are fucked up, guess what you're going to become? You become a victim of your circumstance. You're going to become broke, unsuccessful, and fucked up. Ask yourself this. Do rich people hang around with poor people? Ask yourself that. Do rich people hang around with broke, unsuccessful people? No. Why do you think they're rich? Yo, we got to wake the fuck up, man. We got to leave. We got to let all this shit go. Until you can unequivocally let it go, you will continue to be a slave to your circumstances. All right? What else we got here? Marcos, if you're still here, the email in the description box, you can contact me for the classes. Just send me an email. Again, they start Saturday. There's 6 sessions. If you want to take individual ones, each class is $55 per class. You can pick and choose which ones you want to take. You can take them all. You can take one. You can take 2. They will run from the 25th of January to the 7th of March. Okay? So yes, send me an email. In the email, we'll have a list of all the classes that I read off earlier. So feel free to email me and I'll get that information to you. Damon23 said, if we are a beginner, should we start with subconscious and energy work to have a solid foundation in this work? Yes. And that's essentially that's what shadow work is. So yes, I know you probably typed that question in earlier, but I think some of the stuff I've been talking about has addressed that. But definitely, most definitely. Yeah, Mystic Moons, you're right. Lilith has become very new agey too. I know we were talking about that before. We were talking about how we see that with the occult, the Goetia, demonology. Lilith, that too. You'll see a lot of Wiccans, and they work with Lilith on that level, and that's not Lilith of the Clepothic realm. I can tell you that. Ain't nothing Wiccan or moon goddess about Lilith at all. Okay, so yeah, you find that because of what a lot of you guys were talking about earlier in the chat. It's become very trendy. I'm not interested in trends. That's why you see I said here, I turn the channel on, I get into it. There's no gimmicks here. I don't have no fancy graphics. I know I'm a little more old school, straight to the point. Unfortunately, I just don't feel the need for that. I'm not going to be wearing, I don't have any tools or gadgets or comic book masks or none of that. I know everybody got their little hustle. I don't do any of that shit. Boom. I click on the go live button, and this is what you see. I'm sitting in a dungeon right now doing this. I call this my dungeon, my chamber. This is where I'm doing this from. This is what you see is what it is. It's what it is. It's not for everybody. I don't need to mask this with any props or any fancy. I'm not knocking. If you got a channel with fancy graphics, cool. I just say I ain't got the time for the shit. Maybe one day. I'm not saying maybe one day somebody wants to come aboard and be the graphic designer for the channel. Hit me up. I ain't gonna do it. My thing is, it's just about getting information out there. What else? All right, skip that. I have to wrap this up in a few minutes. I got to get to getting. What else we got? Yeah, I see that too. People getting tattoos of sigils and they don't even know what it is. That's crazy too. I mean, the tattoos and the sigils I got, they're significant and they mean something. Excuse me, 1 second. 1 second. Give me 1 minute. I got somebody. Hang tight, people. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. All right, let me try to get through the rest of these and wrap this up. Sorry, I had somebody at my door. It's Amazon dropping something off. My bad. All right. Sperlin Lily, what's going on? NS, thank you for the comment. Appreciate that. Try to get through these as quick as I can, people. Oh, okay. I'm glad you gave some clarification on that. Muzi comic ENT. Yes, I'm left-handed, but when I got into left-hand path, it was like I found my normal way of thinking. I got you. I kind of figured it was in that line. I just didn't want to assume the question. Okay, I got you. Appreciate the clarity on that. I just didn't want to go into it and not know what you were referring to. That would have been foolish. Trisha Chambers, what is a really good book on shadow work? Man, there's a lot of books out there on shadow work. One I would recommend to start that's really good for beginners. Not really just beginners. There's a book I've talked about in several videos. I like to use alchemy. There's a book by Dennis William Huck. It's called Alchemy for Personal Transformation, the Emerald Tablets of Tahuti. He talks into the 7 processes he uses this concept of alchemy and making one less dense, shedding themselves or addressing things about themselves that need to be corrected. I would suggest that. I mean, there's plenty of books out there, but if you wanted me to narrow it down to one, that would be a book I would start with. Again, Dennis William Huck, Alchemy for Personal Transformation, the Emerald Tablets of Tahuti. All right, what else we got? That's a good point by Regina Green. When you truly come to a realization and exception and full knowledge, you won't need to practice magic. Well, there's 2 folds to that. That is a form of magic because majority of magic is mental. So what you're doing is, remember, part of the process of magic is reprogramming the subconscious mind. So you won't need to rely and depend on certain aspects of magic in the sense that you need it to do everything. You don't. Ritualistic magic should only be utilized for special circumstances, especially greater black magic workings. But that's true. It's a very, very, very good statement. Sperlin Lily says increased intuition, sensitivity, manifestation power over your reality. Sperlin Lily, I'm going to show you a comment. Shit is dope. I appreciate it. And good comment that you follow it up with, Regina, but yet you will still be learning, ongoing to grow. It's a never-ending process. There's an old saying, a wise man knows he knows nothing. It don't mean you're stupid. It means you're always open to learning. I'm always open to learning. I'm not open to ignorance, though. And when I say I'm open to learning, I'm open to learning new things. Not stupid shit that people want to come along with and try to force on you, like those 2 idiots earlier. That's just systems of mental slave indoctrination that keep us oppressed. I'm not putting on no motherfucking jelly beer and dressing like I'm in the 1800s or the 1400s. Okay? I ain't gonna do it. Okay, this path is about enjoying life. The beauty of this path is, see, I can dress like this and feel good about myself. I don't need to put on a damn fucking dashiki with a big ass ankh and say hotep. I don't need to put on a Tagise Islam because I feel the need. I got to identify with everybody what it is I am. That's what those paths do. See, I can be a sports fan that I love to be. I can wear a hat, just regular ass clothes. But yet you wouldn't have any idea that I probably know what it is I know or deal with what it is I deal. Because I don't feel the need that I have to do that. This is who I feel the need to be. If I want to go out tonight, later, have a meal and enjoy a good movie, I can do that. I don't need to be a part of some philosophy that says, oh, brother, that's the white man's world. You shouldn't be supporting the white man's economy. I don't think like that. I don't need to be told, brother, no, you shouldn't celebrate Christmas. I celebrate Christmas. I love Christmas. It's a magical time of year. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care what it is you don't like about it. I don't want to hear your cornball childish breakdowns about Santa Claus. Who cares? It's stupid. But look at the magical aspect of it. Because if whoever you think it was started by controls it, look at if they came up with an ideology like that was magical and impactful and still impacts the world today, you need to come up with your own. That's all. So if you don't like Christmas, don't celebrate it. I do. I don't care. So you say, oh, how could you be conscious and celebrate Christmas? Because I don't claim to be conscious in your definition of conscious. See, that's the problem. You want me to fit in your little box. You want me to fit in your category of what you think being conscious and woke is. Okay? And like I said, half of you motherfuckers talking about you don't celebrate the holidays, you were the first motherfuckers sitting down at the table killing that turkey and that food. So if you ain't going to participate, then don't participate at all. Don't participate in what's convenient. Now, as I said before, as far as holidays are concerned, am I into all the religious aspect of it? No. But the whole vibing, the stuff with the kids, family, the food. It's a great time of year. I love it. And there's a strong connection of it with my childhood because my mother was big on Christmas. So Christmas, I connect with it more so. It connects me with the spirits of my mother and my father. More so my mother, who passed away in 96. She loved Christmas. When I tap into Christmas, it reminds me of her energy during Christmas, how vibrant she was. As corny as it may sound, she loved Christmas carols. Silent Night was her favorite song. I have a recording of her singing that when I was a little kid. I could play that right now and it'd bring me to tears. Because it connects me with a time with her energy that was when she was vital, when she was at her peak, at her best. So this shit, it laid in there, you have no idea. You don't know how I approach that. But you're still going, yeah, boy, you Santa. See, Santa, when you reverse the words, it means Satan. Man, save me with your little kindergarten breakdowns. Ain't nobody want to hear that nonsense. That's some, come on, stop. Every year, though, same shit. So I celebrate all that shit. I don't give a fuck. You don't like it? Oh, well, get over it. What else we got? Oh, this is a new thing now. Everybody's trying to go back to Africa. This is a new thing. I'm seeing all these websites, Ghana. Listen, people. Go over there. Mostly is who have AC, all this technology. Now, granted, there's some areas like in Nigeria that are more technologically advanced than here in America. But the political system and the religious system, you ain't gonna be ready for that shit. Trust me. You'll be begging to come back here. Why do people keep painting this picture like if they go back home to Africa, they're not gonna have a care in the world? Doesn't work like that, people. If anybody knows anything, you better be bringing something there. Africa is not like the United States. I'm gonna go over there and find work. Don't work like that. You better be contributing something to the economy and to the society, or you're looked at as a leech and a parasite. Trust me when I tell you. But that's the new hustle. I even seen, I can't remember where I saw it. One of you guys might be familiar with it. I stumbled across it yesterday. I'm drawing a blank. Somebody's literally selling membership to some website that shows you places you can go in Africa, where to relocate and go home. They'll keep you up to date on the latest if you subscribe and become a member. Literally, I saw this shit yesterday. All right, I ain't even gonna get into that. You get the point. That's correct, Sperlin Lily. If you're talking about, and I'm glad you did your research, if you're talking about when the Prophet Muhammad married Aisha, and you see it right there, somebody did their research 9. Okay. Yep, that's what I'm trying to say. See, these are the things that these Muslims don't want to talk about. Okay? These are the things they don't want to bring to the light. How the fuck in this day and time can you adjust marrying a 9-year-old child? How? And anybody that says they're cool with that, and if you are a Muslim and say you're cool with that, unless you have a 9-year-old daughter that's married to a grown-ass man, then come talk to me. Now, if you do and you're okay with it, I think you're a sick fuck. But if you do and you're okay with it, then I'll not say, all right, power to you. But you can't tell me as a grown-ass man, you would be comfortable with a man over 40 years old married to your daughter who is 9 years old. Get the fuck out of here. GTFOH. Get the fuck out of here. That is sick. That's pedophilia. Okay? There's no other way you can condone that. But that's the kind of shit that Islam teaches. It condones pedophilia. There's more. I can get into more in the hadiths, but I don't even want to waste my time. I don't condone any of that shit. What else we got here? Damien, yes. I'm glad you sent me. I'm going to try it again. I meant to send you a message last week. Every time I go open the file, it says I can't open the file. I did it twice. I tried it on 2 different browsers. I tried it on 3 different devices. The only one I haven't tried it on is this tablet. I don't know if it's the format that you send it in. I don't know if you can send it in a PDF or you send it in, I believe it was some like zip format. I couldn't open it. So if you could resend it again, I don't know. But I'll tell you exactly what the message says when I go try to open it. But I'm glad. I will get back to you. Yes. Also, if you do sign up for Patreon, yes, everything is archived. Good question. Yeah, everything there is archived. So if you can't make a live stream private class, all you got to do is go to the post and click the link. The link will always be there for private viewing. So yeah, if you can't make all the live Patreons that are private for members, yes, you will have access to the archive. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, we gotta get rid of this fool. I don't know what this is. I don't have time for that. Obscenities. All right, what else we got? Oh, that's yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got a long name there. Faith, Lucifer, Mulatto, Creole, Akkadian, Conjure Witch. That's a lot. I'm just gonna call you Conjure Witch. It's easier. Yeah, that's the hypocrisy. Everything they point fingers at us for doing in the occult, or any of these systems dealing with paganism, witchcraft, and magic. It's embedded right there in their religion, but they refuse to acknowledge it. That's what happens when you take on a self-righteous mentality, when you think you know everything, and you think nobody's going to be pointing the fingers back at you. It's like what's going on for those that are sports fans. I'm a huge baseball fan. As you can see, I mean football, basketball, all four major sports. Huge hockey fan. This is my team right here. But in baseball, if those that are baseball fans probably been seeing in the news, the cheating scandal with the Houston Astros, how they were cheating from 17 to 19 during the World Series. Why am I bringing this up? Because it's in relation to this. And there's one player who rubs me the wrong way on the Astros, who used to be with the Tigers. He comes off as this good old wholesome Americana, good old wholesome boy, good old wholesome American boy. He has called out falsely many players and accused them of using PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs. He irked me about a year ago. One of the players on my favorite team, the New York Yankees, Gleyber Torres, who was a young Latino player who came up 2 years ago and has had tremendous success right out the gate. His power numbers have surged. He didn't hit a lot of home runs in the minor leagues. Well, anyway, this fool comes out and alludes to the fact that he must be doing steroids because all of a sudden his power numbers go up. Now, mind you, this is the same guy who was at the tail end of his career in Detroit. He's a pitcher who was losing his velocity, came to Houston, regained it back and then some, and wants to point fingers at other people, was part of this cheating scandal. And he's nowhere to be found now. People are calling him out on social media. I went onto his Facebook page and said, oh, he ain't got much to say now about cheating. And I put good old wholesome Americana boy has nothing to say now about cheating when you're part of one of the biggest cheating scandals in Major League Baseball that has ever taken place. I liken that. That's how some of these religious hypocrites are. They're quick to point out your faults, but get angry when you show them the inconsistencies and the fallacies in their religion. Then also they want to take it personal, get mad, and then and resort to name calling. I don't go into anybody else's chat room with this bold ass mentality that I know it all. I go on many platforms and sometimes I just sit there and listen. I don't even want to say anything and participate because I can learn something whether I agree with it or not. But that's what it is. Yeah, Sperling Lily. That's going to be that's going to be that dude's new name, Poopy Doopy. Poopy Doopy. We'll call him Poopy Doopy because the shit he was talking was poopy, straight shit. Poopy Doopy. All right. That's right, Brother Tizza, a.k.a. Trident 72. Any Muslim who doesn't know, look, you don't need to know Arabic completely fluently, but you better know that Quran in Arabic. You better know your Salat in Arabic. You better be able to recite your surahs in Arabic because you don't really know what that book is saying because then you got to rely on one of these imams from India, Pakistan, or Saudi Arabia to give you their interpretation of it, and most of them don't speak a classical dialect of Arabic. Most of them speak Farsi or Persian or Urdu, which is mixed in with Arabic. The Quran was written in the Quraysh dialect of Arabic, which is a rare classical dialect of Arabic, which goes back to the Syriac Arabic that's not really spoken in much places today. Okay? But you need to know that history before you want to look. It's the same thing. Look, I've had this before. Over the years, I've had very angry Christians want to challenge me. And they get heated and they want to get all biblical with me. And this is how I stopped the debate, just like I did with the Arabic stuff with the Quran. I asked them a question. What does the word Bible mean and what language is it? Where did it come from? If you can't answer that, we can't even debate what's in the contents of the book. Do you know majority? A few do know where the origin of the word and where it comes from. Do you know well over 80% of the people I posed that question to that are Christians can't tell me the origin of the English word Bible, where it comes from and what it means? That's sad. Because that's the word that's on the cover of your book. If you don't know what's on the cover, how in the world are you going to be able to debate with me what's on the inside of the book? You're going to get your ass torn up. And for those that know me, like the Quran, I know that Bible from Genesis to Revelations. I'll walk you through it. I can walk you through it better than a pastor can. I'll have you saying hallelujah before we're done. I'll show you shit in there you wouldn't even know that's in there. I do an occult class on that. Some of you have taken that class. The occult and metaphysical breakdown of the Bible and the Quran. Some of you in here now took that class. Some of you that when I was going at it on that earlier, were making comments because you yourself have learned and uncovered that information. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Not because you're just agreeing with me because it's cool to agree. I know there's a few of you in here right now that took that class. I have a whole class geared on that. And we walk from Genesis to Revelation, and we go through all 114 chapters of the Quran, including the Apocrypha and the lost books. There's nothing you're going to be able to tell me I ain't heard in that area. Whether it's metaphysical, alchemical, religious, or whatever. What else we got? Trisha Chambers says, because of how women are treated, I had no interest in Islam. Good for you. I had a boyfriend who was Muslim. He walked ahead of me. And when he continued to walk, I jumped in a taxi and went home. And then you see how stupid that is? How degrading is that as a woman? And she brings up a good point. Yes, it is tradition in Islamic circles. The woman has to walk a bit behind the man. What kind of fuckery is that in 2020? You see its stupidity, and I'm glad you, Trisha, took the initiative to say, screw that. I'm not going to be belittled like that and disrespected. That is just utmost. Do you know also in some Sunni traditions, it's not as great of a blessing to have birth to a female child than it is a male? This is recorded in many hadiths. Like it's almost like a downer to give birth to a female. You believe this shit? I can't make this shit up. Research it for yourself. All right, what else we got? Damn, skipped. Fuck. Queen Z, correct. Religion and their bullshit afterlife promises. That's what it is. Pie in the sky afterwards. It's okay to suffer here. It's okay to be poor, broke, and miserable. Don't worry. It's okay. The good ship Jesus is coming to swoop you away later down the road, and you'll be sitting on fluffy clouds with little fat white kids in diapers. That's the bullshit they want to sell us. Come on, man. We're grown-ass adults. Don't talk to me about some goddamn talking snakes in the garden. And come on, man, please. I can't do this. All right, people, I'm going to kind of skip, see if there's anything that sticks out. I really got to get the fuck on. I went way over my time. I haven't been on in a while, so I figured I'd just flow with it tonight. All right, let's see. Okay, we'll skip some of this stuff. And if only Satan came down the chimney and brought gifts. True indeed. All right, Damien, I appreciate that. Shoot me a message. Pete, greetings to Brother Angel. Yeah, you're right. Let's include the Hebrew Israelites in that category too. They got some sick practices too, as Nikita just put in there. I mean, why do we even want to mess with this shit? Who the hell wants to be a part of that nonsense? But we're crazy for the shit we talk about. Yeah, that's sooner too. It's not good to give birth to 2 girl babies. They make you put the second one in an orphanage. That's actually a sooner. So how can you justify this stupidity? You can't. You can't. But anyway, let me say in closing, I'm going to wrap it up. You know where to get at me. The upcoming classes that'll begin next week. Patreon members, remember, next personal live stream, private live stream for members only on Patreon will be February 12th. We'll be going in depth on demonic integration, rituals, practices, techniques. The classes that will be upcoming real quick, nobody go nowhere. Let me read them again. These will begin Saturday. Each class is $55 to sign up. Let me just pull them up and give you the list again. Hold on. You can take one, you can take all of them. If you do take all of them, there's a discounted price, but each one individually is $55 each. And here are the upcoming classes. And again, I could email this to you. Emails in the description box. Next week, using alchemy to do your personal shadow work. Second week is going to be Luciferian magic practices and techniques. Third week will be Sith sorcery. That'll be a great way to deal with shadow work in the form of monitoring your behaviors and your habits. We will take a break after the third week. Fourth week will be don't negate this one. I love doing this class. The importance of diet, health, exercise, and proper meditation techniques. That'll be week 4. Week 5 will be chakra work and activating the Kundalini serpent energy. And week 6 is working with the Typhonian current of the adversary set. The classes are every Saturday from 3 to 6:30 p.m. They run from January 25th to March 7th. That's going to begin this Saturday. You can sign up, up until the day before the actual class is. So look at that. If you need the information, send me an email. I'll get it to you. So if you need to contact me for that, for a spiritual consultation or a reading, please specify which one, the days and times you're available, and the time zone you live in. Very important. Also, remember here on the 30th, we have 2 rituals and events coming up. The 31st of January, we have the Necromancy Rite of Ampu / Anubis. If you physically would like to attend that ritual, shoot me an email. It's posted on the Instagram, the Facebook, and here on YouTube. We also have a black magic drumming on the 15th of February, which is going to be the drumming of the invocation of the dragon energy of Lucifer. We will be doing different mantras associated with some of that drumming, which I'm looking forward to that. Those that know, I love playing the drums. That'll be on Saturday, February 15th. And all are welcome to attend that. You just need to let us know you're coming. There's no specific requirements to attend that. But just be ready to tap into some volatile energy. That's the requirement. All right. Also, we're up and running Primordial Chaos on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/Boniti, BANITI. We've already started on there with exclusive private live stream classes for members only. We did our first one a couple of weeks ago. Our next one is February 12th. You do have access to past classes if you join now. The first one we did was the importance of ritualistic work. We talked about altars, setting them up. We went over some tools. Those classes are a little more personalized and customized because we get a little more personal and in depth. There's a 3-tier level of membership, so go on there, take a look at that on Patreon. Journey of the Black Adept Conference number 3 will be October 30th to November 1st. So mark your calendars for that. Patreon members will have access to some of the presentations at that event in October if you can't physically get there. I will start streaming some of that content on there for members. All right. As far as here on YouTube, also last thing, Chaos Oil. I know some people typed in, some sent me emails while I was online here. Simple. You just use the email address in the description box, same email address to contact me about anything I've discussed here tonight. KHNUM19@gmail.com. Use that email. Send a PayPal using that email for $20 per bottle for the Chaos Oil. Include in that email again your name, physical mail, and address in your email. All right. That's pretty much what I got. As far as me back on YouTube, as you know, I'm just flowing with it now. I'm gonna pop up whenever I get the time. So it's important. Subscribe to the channel. hit the notification bell. I could pop up on a Friday, a Monday, a Tuesday, a Saturday, Sunday. I don't know. Based on how everything is going and the things I'm doing now moving forward in 2020, I'm just going to pop up on here on YouTube whenever it's convenient for me. Today was a convenient time. I had a little gap, a little window. So I figured I'd come on and kick it with you guys for a few hours because I haven't been on here in a minute. Don't know when I'll be back, but I will be back. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate everybody supporting the channel. Appreciate the love. And I appreciate the hate too, because the hate fuels and motivates me. It sharpens the skills. It brings out the two-edged sword. It brings out that warrior energy. So appreciate the love from the haters too. Most greatly appreciated. All right. And we will see everybody soon. Peace. No, infernal blessings that what's his name said in the beginning. Who do I want to get that to? I'm going to start using that just so you know, but I got to give credit to where I got it from. It's not my concept. That was by Ender Oversoul. If you're still here, I'm going to give you credit for that. That's going to be my new greeting. I like that. It resonates with me. I like it. I felt it when you typed it in. I just vibe. So instead of now saying peace, and you can credit this to Ender Oversoul. I don't want to take credit for it. Infernal blessings to all of you, and we will talk soon.